I have more should I say values? I have more values aligned with
I
conservative
don't think I don't
liberals
think I don't think that's very true
that are
because
liberals.
I don't think that's very true because if you were here in America, they'd try to deport you. So I don't think that they like you very much.
If I was illegal, if I
No,
was
no, no,
illegal to be
no.
honest, yeah.
They
If
don't
I'm
like
illegal,
legal.
I think
They don't like
I
legal.
think you should deport me.
They don't like legals
Yeah.
either.
And can you give me an example of maybe an
Yeah.
illegal migrant who was
No,
deported
no, no,
that
no, no,
didn't
no.
commit a crime?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. People that were here
Okay.
on TPS, temporary protective status. Trump went and revoked their TPS. He also went and revoked visa protections for
And
those
why?
that came from no reason, nothing.
Yeah.
These were
And
not
why?
people that these were not people on expired visas. These were not people who committed a crime. He revoked their status. He also revoked the status for Venezuelans. He also revoked the status for Colombians. He also revoked the status for Cubans as well, many of which had relatives that voted for him. So he literally revoked
What?
their status. He also is working with people like Governor Greg Abbott to revoke H-1B visas for people that are in America to study, particularly med students that are here in the United States to go and do work. These are literal people that they are trying to take out of the country who came and did everything legally.
What is meaning of TPS actually? I think you're talking about Somalians, right? From Minnesota, right?
It doesn't have to be
Relax,
Somalians.
relax.
It can be Haitians. It
No,
can
you're
be
talking about.
anything. No, I'm not talking about anything.
I think you. No, I think I no. I think you actually. I think it was. If I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong, but I'm very open to corrections. I think, from what I understood from the TPS, I think it was more specifically and more directed towards Somalians
No,
in Minnesota.
no, you didn't listen to a single word I said. TP because you don't live in America, you don't really know how this works.
Yeah, no.
TPS is not just
Okay.
Somalians in Minnesota. And by the way, most of the Somalians in Minnesota are literal American citizens that live in that live in Minnesota. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people with TPS. And if you would have listened to what I said, I also talked about status revoked from Colombians, Venezuelans, and Cubans, and many others. Those people. So you don't know what you're talking about. So my point still stands that if you were in the United States, yes, they would deport you. They would round you up, send you up on an airplane, and send you the hell out of this country. And here you are
Yeah,
barking like a seal
I
to
think
celebrate them, and they don't even
I
like
think
you.
no, I don't. I don't really care if you like me or not. It has to be about law and order. It has to be law. Listen,
No, isn't
listen.
that
There's
something?
no emotion. No emotions. Like listen. If you're gonna lead a nation, if you're gonna lead a business, if you're gonna lead something, you have to put emotions aside.
No, isn't that
You have to
something?
put emotions aside.
Isn't that
I
something?
think most
This guy
think
comes
most-
on here and says that he doesn't care if they like him or not. Now imagine this, right? He's not from here, so he
No,
is
listen.
right now he is standing and he's watching his Instagram story of a club and he's commentating it when the people in the club rejected him from coming in. He wants to be in the people that reject him's club. That's some crazy shit.
That's not.
That is a
Listen,
hold, wait a second.
I
That is
think-
a
I
that
think-
is a lust for acceptance. That honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty pathetic.
Crazy
That's
work.
pretty pathetic.
Okay. No, it's fine. That's your opinion. I actually think you probably have a victim syndrome. It's like a victim mentality of they don't like me. I feel a
See, that's the same shit MAGA do.
bit hated here. I feel I feel rejected. Why do you let people
I would
decide
think that is
who you
not.
are?
I would think that is human
You
nature
shouldn't-
that
no,
I
you
would not
shouldn't- you
want to
shouldn't-
go
you shouldn't determine,
and
like-
be in a place where the
Yeah.
people say that you're not welcome.
That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Listen. The problem.
Why do
the
you
problem
want
is-
so badly to be included by
is a-
people who
there
don't
is
want
a-
you?
No, I don't know. I don't want to be included. Listen, you don't get the point. I'm not trying to walk my way into your heart or trying to walk my way into a relationship. I don't really care. What I care about is that when I come into a country,
You can't get
law
in.
of the country, I
You
have
can't
to
get in.
rest. No, listen. Wait a second. I got in anyways. Like I got into Europe, so relax.
You can't get in here.
So when I get into a country, I have to abide with the law of the
You
country.
cannot get in.
And And you have to leave and drop the victim mentality of,
You
they don't want me,
cannot
so you get
get
emotional
in.
about it.
I don't understand
No,
why you are coming up with this fantasy like you could get in. You can't.
oh my god.
So it's
I'm
like
telling you,
you're talking
I
about like
literally
again.
got into Holland.
You are talking
I got
like
into
I
Holland.
I just want to. You can't get in here. All right. What you're doing right now is literally simping for a situation that, one, you can't get into, two, you're not accepted, and number three, like you're not even here. Like, it'd be one thing if you were an American or a visitor or something. Like, you're none of those things. You're simping from outside the club, right? Like,
I'm not simping.
This is, you know what this is like? Has anybody ever seen Clavicular? Clav? This is like one of those skits that Clav does where it's like, it's somebody who, like, he like allegedly steals someone's girl and like he's like flirting with her in front of the man. Like, that's literally what this is. Like, you literally are in a situation where Clav, well, and I guess maybe in my case, I am clapping girls in the club, and you're in a whole nother ocean talking shit about it on social media. Like, that's what this is. Like, that's pretty terrible.
I don't think you're listening. I think you had your opinion, you've drawn your conclusion, but you're not trying to listen.
Smash that like button, y'all. We got almost 200 people in here. I need about 50 y'all to smash that like button. Let's get it.
I'm trying to say is that leave the victim mentality, leave it alone, leave it behind. You should be looked on based on your qualifications. There are a lot of Africans who contribute positively in terms of financial capacity to the United States, and trust me, the United States, I don't want to deport them because they contribute heavily.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, go on.
Do you think that the Republican Party is looking at the qualifications of people whenever they make those determinations on who should be in the country or not?
I think it's a very it's very, you can't generalize all Republicans.
No, I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you if the Republican Party, as the governing party of the United States, whether or not they are looking at qualifications whenever they're making these immigration decisions.
I think from who I support, like Donald Trump, I support Trump. I support people like Charlie Kirk.
That's not what I asked you. It's a very simple question. It's a yes or no question.
I'm coming somewhere.
I just want to hear an answer.
I'm getting somewhere. I support people like Charlie Kirk, who is also a Republican, by the way, who literally said you should be judged based on your qualifications and not how you look or what you have to, or you should be based on your, you should be judged based on your qualifications.
I'm asking you one more time.
Yes.
Do you know you have good sense and you don't want to answer my question?
No, I'm listening.
I said, can you please tell me if the Republican Party in its official capacity as a governing party of the United States looks at qualifications when they are making these immigration decisions? That's what I asked you.
I believe they are looking at net contributions to the society. The reason why Minnesotans listen.
Wait a second. No.
You actually, just give me a second. Wait. You asked me a question. You should let me like. I'm trying to have a very convo with you. You have your opinion. I have mine, and we can agree to disagree. Okay. I think the reason why Trump is, I want to take a very specific example.
No. I just want to make sure here, because you're going all over the place, and I don't really want to waste time with this. You said in a response to my question about does the Republican Party look at qualifications when they're making these immigration decisions, and you said that they look at it as a whole. So are you saying that you're... So wait a second. So are you saying that your own personal merit, the work that you do as an individual, does not matter because instead you should be judged as a whole? Are you saying
No,
that individual contributions of an individual does not really matter?
actually, individual contributions actually it actually weighs far more than you generalizing. So that's what I'm saying. Your next contribution as an individual should be what should be the judging should be the judgment standard.
Well, that was it. That was the question that I asked you, though.
Yeah,
That-
exactly. So not you
Okay,
generalizing
great.
all Somalians or all Cubans or all Mexicans or all no, that's wrong. Definitely wrong.
Absolutely.
Definitely wrong.
Because you know why? Because you believe in a meritocracy, right? Where merit is what matters. You use merit, and that is what you should be judged by in this country.
I use positive contribution instead of
right.
merit.
Of the individual.
Merit is
Correct.
yes, of course.
Then explain to me why the Republican Party did not look at the merit of individuals. Instead, they went and struck status for all of the people on TPS. They went and struck the status for all Cubans. They did not look at the individuals. They did not care if you were a doctor or a lawyer. They did not care if you were somebody that actually was not a criminal. They didn't care about any of that stuff. They went and blanket struck their status. And if that is not a perfect example of the very thing that you claim to be against, I don't know what is.
I have more should I say values? I have more values aligned with conservative.
I don't think that's very true because I don't think that's very true because if you were here in America, they'd try to deport you. So I don't think that they like you very much.
If I was illegal, to be honest, yeah,
They don't
if I'm
like
illegal.
legal-
They don't like. I think you should deport me.
They don't like legals either.
And can you give me an example of maybe
Yeah.
an illegal migrant who was deported?
I'll give you an example. When they said they're getting all the criminals out, they wasn't talking about whether or not your ass came here legally, whether your papers was right. They're talking about after you got here, did you commit any crimes in the United States? You know, all the people who got pulled up and said, I'm legal. Yeah, you might be legal, but did you commit crimes? And that's why they started deporting motherfuckers, because if you got crimes and criminal charges in the United States and you're here on a visa, that's grounds to get your ass out of here, dummies.
No. Yeah, absolutely. People that were here on TPS, temporary protective status. Trump went and revoked their TPS. He also went and revoked visa protections for those that came from no reason, nothing. Yeah. These were not people these were not people on expired visas. These were not people who committed a crime. He revoked their status. He also revoked the status for Venezuelans. He also revoked the status for Colombians. He also revoked the status for Cubans as well, many of which had relatives that voted for him. So he literally revoked their status. He also...
You saying shithole countries. All of these fucking countries got way better attractions, way better lands, way better waterfronts, way better, all way better than fucking America. So shut the fuck up.
It's working with people like Governor Greg Abbott.
Just another stool pigeon repeating some shit Trump said, bitch. Shut up.
Revoke H-1B visas for people that are in America to study, particularly med students that are here in the United States to go and do work. These are literal people that they are trying to take out of the country who came and did everything legally.
What's the meaning of TPS?
You see how we flipped the script on them, Kenzie? Got him up in this motherfucker.
Actually, I think you're talking about Somalians, right? From Minnesota, right?
It doesn't have to be Somalians. It can be Haitians. It can be anything. No, I'm not talking about anything.
I think you actually. I think it was. If I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong, but I'm very open to corrections. I think from what I understood from the TPS, I think it was more specifically and more directed towards Somalians in Minnesota.
No, you didn't listen to a single word I said. TP because you don't live in America. You don't really know how this works.
Yeah,
TPS is not just Somalians in Minnesota. And by the way, most of the Somalians in Minnesota are literal American citizens that live in that live in Minnesota. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people with TPS. And if you would have listened to what I said, I also talked.
You're right about that, Mike, but it's going to matter in the midterms. Yes, his fucking approval is on the ground. That means the country don't trust his ass no more. That means that he doesn't have the support of the people. That's all I'm saying. All right?
About status revoked from Colombians, Venezuelans, and Cubans, and many others. Those people. So you don't know what you're talking about. So my point still stands that if you were in the United States, yes, they would deport you. They would round you up, send you up on an airplane, and send you the hell out of this country. And here you are barking like a seal to celebrate them, and they don't even like you.
No, I don't really care if you like me or not. It has to be about law and order. It has to be law. Listen. There's no emotion. No emotions. Like listen. If you're gonna lead a nation, if you're gonna lead a business, if you're gonna lead something, you have to put emotions aside.
No, isn't that something?
You have to put emotions aside.
Isn't that something? This guy comes on here and says that he doesn't care if they like him or not. Now imagine this, right? He's not from here, so he is right now. He is standing and he's watching his Instagram story of a club, and he's commentating it when the people in the club rejected him from coming in. He wants to be in the people that reject him's club. That's crazy shit. Wait a second.
J972 said, enact that goddamn 25th. What would he say? 25th Amendment, goddammit. Smash that like button. Look, I'm about to put a poll up. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
That is a lust for acceptance that honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, it's pretty pathetic. That's pretty pathetic.
Okay. No, it's fine. That's your opinion. I actually think you probably have a victim syndrome. It's like a victim mentality of they don't like me.
You are not children. You're old enough to hear the truth. You're an adult. Just face it, okay? Your movement is racist. MAGAism is racist. It is white Christian nationalism. If that hurts your feelings, that means you must know it's true, okay? If you are not a racist and somebody talking about racism will impact you because you know you're not racist, so you're talking, that ain't me. So if you feel it when you hear the word white supremacy and white nationalism, if that hits you in your spirit, then that says more about you than it says about us. So you are not children. You're old enough to hear the truth. You're an adult. Just face it.
Third Nuggets, 44 days, the administration and the GOP have been lying about the whereabouts and whether or not fucking draw me turtle Mitch McConnell is even fucking alive. Welcome to America, where people don't want to come anymore because we fucking suck and we lie. Where the fuck is Mitch? Oh, he's hanging out with Lindsay. Cool. Third Nuggets, 44 days.
19 against a 2. In honor of better having a social casino, we're doing a...
Welcome to America, where the forests are on fire, the politicians do the bidding of oligarchs that eat children, and unhoused people that sleep in the streets are getting swept out by bulldozers. The same companies that are used in genocidal isn't real. And all you get to do is watch the World Cup. The greatest country of all time. And gas prices are down 12 cents. Welcome to America, where the forests are on fire, the politicians do the bidding of oligarchs that eat children, and unhoused people that sleep in the streets are getting swept out by bulldozers. The same companies that are used in genocidal isn't real. And all you get to do is watch the World Cup. The greatest country of all time. And gas prices are down 12 cents. Welcome to America, where the forests are on fire, the politicians do the bidding of oligarchs that eat children, and unhoused people that sleep in the streets are getting swept out by bulldozers. The same companies that are used in genocidal isn't real. And all you get to do is watch the World Cup. The greatest country of all time. And gas prices are down 12 cents. Welcome to America, where the forests are on fire, the politicians do the bidding of oligarchs that eat children, and unhoused people that sleep in the streets are getting swept out by bulldozers. The same companies that are used in genocidal isn't real. And all you get to do is watch the World Cup. The greatest country of all time. And gas prices are down 12 cents. Welcome to America, where the forests are on fire, the politicians do the bidding of oligarchs that eat children, and unhoused people that sleep in the streets are getting swept out by bulldozers, the same companies that are used in genocidal isn't real. And all you get to do is watch the World Cup. The greatest country of all time. And gas prices are down 12 cents. Welcome to America, where the forests are on fire, the politicians do the bidding of oligarchs that eat children, and unhoused people that sleep in the streets are getting...
The true black revolution is love. At every turn, their whole plan and process for us has to be for us to be divided and for us to not love ourselves. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to love your brother. You don't love yourself, you're not going to love your sister. It's easy to look in the mirror and hate yourself and leave your child. That's easy. The true black revolution is love. At every turn, their whole plan and process for us has to be for us to be divided and for us to not love ourselves. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to love your brother. You don't love yourself.
Hey everybody, it's Jamie Raskin. I'm running for re-election in Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District, and I'm asking for your personal endorsement. Will you come online and endorse me? Will you go online and personally endorse my campaign for re-election as I am campaigning strong here in the Free State, and I'm also campaigning for a Democratic Congress all over America for us to win back the House of Representatives and the Senate. But it would mean the world to me if you would go online.
Every time that I see a police brutality video and the police brutality is against a non-white person, in the comments section, usually you see white people saying things along the lines of, well, they, meaning the non-white person that's a victim of police brutality, they should have just complied. And what white people don't understand, the way that the police treat white people is not the same way that they treat us non-white people. But I've also learned that that's just a concept that white people don't know how to even understand. What do you mean they treat us better than you? Which of course is part of the white privilege that white people experience in this country. When I was a little kid, I thought that the police, generally speaking, were there to protect us. Us meaning just human beings from criminals, from bad people. Honestly, when I was a little kid, I saw the police like the way that kids usually look at Batman, Spider-Man, like heroes. I really saw the police as heroes who are out there driving around, making sure that the bad guys didn't come hurt us good guys. Check this out. When I was 15 years old in the summertime, two of my friends came knocking on my window early in the morning. So I jump out the window early in the morning, and we're on our way to our other friends' house so we could get together and, hang out. So while we were making our way down there, maybe like 5 minutes down from my house, one of my friends decided to pull out a lighter. And this lighter wasn't just a regular lighter, but it was one of those lighters where you like push the little trigger and a little flame comes out like... You know what I'm talking about. He started showing off the lighter. Look, guys, whatever, right? And we're just trying our best to make our walk all the way down to my other friend's house as fun as possible. And in this particular case, by playing around with the lighter, right? So when we finally arrived to the block of our other friend's house, all of a sudden, from every side of the road, which were three, one to the left, one to the right, and of course behind us where we came from, two cop cars came from each side of the road. So two here, and two behind us. And the two cop cars from that way, they spread out a little bit. The cops inside of it got out immediately and drew their guns. And this happened also with those two and the ones behind us. Before we knew it, we were surrounded by police officers with their guns drawn out. And we stopped. Of course, now I can't think for my friends, so I'm going to think for myself. I didn't think this was for us, because why would it be for us? And so we stopped, and all of a sudden, get down on the ground with your hands behind your back. And I'm not going to lie. Initially, although they're all looking our way, I'm still in denial that this is for us, because why is it for us and how? For what? But I mean, there's nobody else there. So it has to be for us. So I literally looked at my friends like, what do we do? And they looked at me, and we looked at each other like, what the hell? And again, get down on the ground with your hands behind your back. So we looked at each other and we agreed, okay, let's get down on the ground with our hands behind our back. So we lied on the ground, put our hands behind our back. So some of the cops stayed over there by their cars with their guns drawn out. And then a couple of them approached us and quickly handcuffed us. So after they cuffed us, one of the cops, which was the sheriff, as they were patting us down and found nothing, where's the gun? We don't have a gun, sir. Oh, you think this is a game, huh? You think this is a game? And so he instructed the other officers to stand us up. So we got up, and all of a sudden the neighbors around started coming out and watching this whole scenario. The sheriff said to us, somebody called 911 and said that you guys have a gun. Where's the gun? And now this is exactly my reaction. I literally went, because it was stupid. Because the thought of having a gun at my age was ridiculous. And so the sheriff didn't really like my reaction. So he got literally in my face like that and said, oh, you think this is funny? You think this is funny? Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you think we have a gun. Why would we have a gun? And then he goes, oh, I see. You're one of those smart guys, huh? And honestly, I was a little puzzled as to why this guy had an attitude towards me. Like, you patted us down, you found nothing, whoever called you obviously made a mistake. What do you want? Why are you standing here face to face with the 15-year-old trying to act tough with him? What kind of reaction do you want out of that? What kind of response do you want out of that? Are you mad because you found nothing? Because you can't take us to jail? So now you want to attempt to provoke me, hoping that I'm one of those kids that have no self-control, and that maybe I punch you or I shove you, and now you could finally get me for something? It just didn't make sense why this guy was standing there face to face with me, acting tough for no reason. Because I went, pfft. So when he said that to me, I simply just said, whatever, man. So then he goes on to say, oh, you're mad, huh? You're pissed off. You're pissed off, huh? What do you want to do about it, huh? Tell me what you want to do about it. He's literally right here standing face to face with me. I could even feel particles of saliva on my face. What you gonna do, huh? What you gonna do? You mad? Do something. And I look at my friends like, what the hell's going on? And you would think and you would hope that the other cops that are watching would tell their boss, the sheriff, hey man, we searched him, we found nothing, let him go. But no, this guy has something to prove. Or maybe he was angry that he wasted his time and he was hoping to arrest a couple of young Mexican dudes and take them to jail. And because he found nothing, now he wants to create something out of nothing because he's not satisfied until somebody gets arrested today. So as he's standing here face to face with me barking stuff, I responded one more time with another and this guy literally lifted his fist and placed it on my chin, literally touched me with his fist on my chin and said, you think this is funny? Huh? You think this is funny? At this point, I'm now looking at him dead in the eyes as he's looking into mine with his fist on my chin and his face right here. And he says, laugh one more time. Come on, laugh one more time. I'll break your jaw. And I said, go ahead and break it then. Go ahead and break it. You don't think I will? So he presses his fist on my chin, and I could feel his saliva on my face. You don't think I will, huh? You don't think I will? Do it. If you really want to do it, what's stopping you? Laugh one more time. Laugh one more time, and I'll break your chin. And I said, do it. Do it. And finally, one of those cops grew the courage to cautiously walk up to the sheriff and gently tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, that's enough. Come on, let's get out of here. So the sheriff kept his fist on my chin, didn't say anything, and just looked at me for another moment. And then he said, I'm going to remember you. I'm going to remember you. And I'm going to see you around. I promise. And that was my first ever experience with a cop in any shape, way, or form. The second
We ain't rushing him at all. You just mad because he's saying the truth. The truth hurts. Get the fuck out or get this medicine.
Experience didn't happen long after this. I was around 17 years old. I had just woken up and I had to go to school, but there's still some time left for me to just lay in bed and chill because it was super early. But all of a sudden, I heard a really loud knock on the door. Now, I walked to school, so a knock on the door this early, it's puzzling because it's not like I had a ride to come for me or anything like that. So I assumed that it was probably my uncle, coming by really early. But I was not going to get up to open the door for my uncle. So I ignored it. And the other person in the house was my other brother who also had to wake up to school. It was just us two. And I knew for a fact that my brother wasn't going to wake up to open the door either. So the knock on the door went from to boom, 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 boom. And I'm thinking, damn, dude, what do you want so early? And I'm assuming, he probably wants to borrow money. I don't know. And I ignored it anyway. And then a small moment after that, I heard, okay, let's knock down the door. And now my eyes widened. And I'm thinking, what the hell? I'm in boxers. I jumped out of bed, didn't even bother putting on pants, nothing. Because they're talking about let's knock down the door. So I rushed to the door, I grabbed the knob, and as soon as I turned the knob and was ready to open it, I cocked my fist all the way back. So as soon as I opened it, whoever was there, I was gonna just pow. But when I opened it, it was the SWAT with the rifles pointed. And so my fist went like this to now. And the first cop that was right there, he put the gun to my face and told me to walk back while the other ones rushed in the house. And the first thing I thought was, damn, they're going to do the same to my little brother right now. They're literally going to wake him up with a gun to his face. And I felt really bad because it felt like shit having a gun in my face. So I'm walking backwards with the rifle in my face. And finally, when they had me against the wall, I hear at a small distance, oh shit, my little brother's voice, because they had woken him up and I assumed they put the gun to his face. So all of a sudden, down the hallway, I see my little brother being dragged out with a gun to his face. And they placed him against the wall right next to me. And they had their guns to our faces, right? So they start asking us questions talking about, where is Miguel so-and-so? And me and my brother look at each other. Miguel? We don't know no Miguel. There's no Miguel in our family, in fact. None of our friends are named Miguel. No cousins, no uncles, nobody. I looked at the cop and said, there's no Miguel here. And then he says, you think this is a joke? You got a gun to your face. We're not playing around, kid. And I said, I'm not playing around either. There is no Miguel in the house. Look for him. We're the only two people here. Where are your parents? My mother's at work. Who else lives here? My other little brothers. Where are they? At school. Where they should be. So it's just your mother and your brothers? Yes. Where's the father? I haven't seen my father since I was like 5, sir. So then why does it say that Miguel lives in his house? I don't know. Then he goes, open your mouth. What? Open your mouth. He sticks the barrel in my mouth. And my brother was like, what the hell, man? You shut the hell up. Does it look like we're playing? I said, there's no Miguel in this house. Look for him. And normally I assume that a person with a gun to their face or in the mouth would probably cry at this point and be terrified. And yes, deep inside I was terrified. But I was more pissed off that this was happening to me, that I couldn't cry. I couldn't react in fear, although I was deep inside. But I was just that much more pissed off. And I think when the cop put the rifle in my mouth, the fact that I wasn't reacting scared or even cried or anything of that nature, but instead spoke to him in the manner that I did, I think they're used to applying this type of pressure and fear and getting a particular response or reaction that when they didn't get this reaction of crying, I think it caused them to behave this way much more firmly. So there's 3 cops right here. The one with the gun to my mouth, the other one with the gun to my brother's face, and then another one that was just standing there watching. And then there was other ones that are searching the house. So while these guys, or at least this particular guy, was doing this to me, finally, 2 of the cops come out of the other rooms and come down the hallway and into the living room where we all were. And then 2 other guys come from the side door, coming in from the backyard, because I guess they were searching the backyard too. And they all came together and told these guys, hey man, we probably got the wrong house. Let's get out of here. And so these other cops started getting ready to leave. And the one that was pointing the gun at my brother's face, he put his gun away and tapped on the one that was aiming the gun at me and said, come on, man, let's get out of here. And this dude said, I don't like this kid. I don't like him at all. And then the cop said to him, come on, man, let's get the hell out of here before the parents show up. And so they all start walking out the door. And one of them says, hey guys, we got the wrong house. Sorry about that. And I say to him, hey, I need the badge number of every single one of you. Yeah, you know what? We're going to come back and give you all that when your parents are home, okay? I said, no, I need that now. Sorry guys, sorry, we got the wrong house. We got to get out of here. And so they left. And so a couple of months later from that day, I'm hanging out with 4 of my friends, one of those being my best friend. But here's the thing. These 4 friends, although Mexican, they're white, meaning they and or their parents may have been born in Mexico, but their lineage, meaning where their ancestry is from Europe. They are white people that happen to be born in Mexico. And this will play a role in this experience. So we went to downtown to hang out. It was around 8, 9 p.m. We already done hung out. And so we're walking back to the parking space where we had parked my friend's car. So as we're walking down, there's a bridge right there that we're just walking by. The bridge is right there. The river down there, my friend's car is right over there. So we're walking down, and all of a sudden, there's a cop right there pointing his flashlight down at the river. So me, being a curious person, I looked over to look at the river to see what he may have been potentially pointing the flashlight at. So when I looked, I don't know what it is that I saw down there, but it looked like a fin from like a shark or a dolphin or something, right? Which more than likely it wasn't, because it wasn't a big river. It was a small stream. But nonetheless, there was a fin that was puffing out of there, whatever it was. And so I got the attention of my friends. Hey, check this out. There's a fin down. There's like a shark. And they all look, where? Where the cop is pointing at. Look. So then the cop approaches. He's coming around towards us, but I don't think he's necessarily coming for us. He's just coming around as he's pointing the light at the river. So me having the experiences that I had with police in my past, I told my friend, hey, the cop is coming. Let's get out of here, man. So as we're getting ready to walk away, suddenly the cop says, hey, did you guys see that? I took it as, let me take this opportunity to interact right back. Because I could simply just ignore him and keep walking. But honestly, I'm thinking, hey, man, just because you had a couple of bad experiences with cops in the past don't mean they're all the same. So I turn around all giddy. Yeah, man, it looked like it was a shark. I saw like a fin or something. And he says, what? I said, yeah, like where you were pointing at with your flashlight. Didn't it look like a fin? And so he looks down there again, and he looks at me and says, what are you talking about? I said, well, you asked me, did you guys see that? And where you were pointing with the flashlight, I looked, and it looked like it was a fin from like a shark or something. And he says, are you high? I'm like, no. You're just asking me if I saw something. And yeah, I saw like a fin. What you smoking on, man? And I'm like, oh, God. You know what? Never mind. So I turn around and continue walking away. And he says, no, come here. And I said, no, just sorry, man, sorry. No, come here. So I keep walking, but I hear the footsteps of the cop approaching me. And he's pacing. Dun, 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 dun. And I'm like, oh, man, I shouldn't have said nothing. So he places his hand on my shoulder and grips me and forcefully turns me around to face him. So I said, what do you want, man? And he said, what did you say you saw down there? I said, look, never mind. I'm sorry, man. No, what did you see? I thought I saw a fin. Like a fin from a shark? Why the hell would there be a fin or a shark down there? I don't know. You asked me if I saw something. That's what I saw. There is no sharks in this river. Well, I'm sorry. That's what I saw. Are you on drugs? No, sir, I'm not. Well, you know what? Stay right here. Because I just got a call and it told me that you were climbing that bridge. I'm like, what do you mean climbing that bridge? Yeah, you were climbing the bridge. Like climbing it up there. Like, why would I do such a thing? I don't know. Maybe because you're high? I'm like, oh, God. So he grabs his dispatcher, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, a couple of cop cars show up. This guy was the sheriff. And here's the interesting part. One of those police officers grab all four, yes, Mexican, but white friends and takes them a couple of yards down. And the rest of the cops, which were about 4, 5 maybe, they surround me completely. Meanwhile, the one that was questioning me initially, he gets in my face. Here we go again with the getting in my face thing. He said, look, the reason why I was here to begin with is because I got a call that there was somebody climbing the bridge. I said, okay. And you happen to fit the description. And there is video evidence of you climbing the bridge. I said, oh, yeah, there's video evidence? Yep. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so all I need from you is a confession. You want me to confess to what? To climbing the bridge. Wait, you want me to confess to climbing the bridge? Yes. But why do you need my confession for? So we don't have to stand here wasting time asking more questions. But you have video evidence of it. Why do you even need me to say or do anything at all if there's evidence, says you? Because although we got a call that described you and we have evidence that it was you, we still need you to confess. Oh, well, I'm not going to confess. And why not? Because I didn't climb anything. But we got a caller that described you doing it and we got video evidence that you did. Okay, and that's good that you got all that evidence. Because you're going to need it. Because I didn't climb shit. Oh, so you're going to make my job tougher, huh? No, I'm not trying to make nothing tough. I'm not trying to be difficult. But I'm not going to confess to something that I didn't do, sir. Respectfully. Kid, listen to me. We have evidence that you climbed that. We literally have somebody that could come and point his finger that you did it. And we have video that you did it. Why don't you just save yourself some time and just confess? No, sir. I'm not confessing to anything I've never done in my life. No matter what you say, no matter who comes and point their finger, and no matter what you show me, I'm not confessing to anything. In fact, if I'm a suspect to a crime or anything at all, can you please just take me to jail? And he goes, oh, I see. You're one of those, huh? You're one of those guys. And I looked at this guy and I'm thinking, oh man, not another one of these cops that feels a desire to act tough with me. And I'm thinking, what is it about me that causes cops to want to act tough with me? And right there and then, I knew that it was going to be a long night. Sir, I'm not trying to make it difficult for you. I'm not trying to be a hassle, but I'm not confessing to anything I've never done. So whatever it is that you're going to do, whether you're going to take me to jail or let me go, can you just get it over with? So then he says, who said you're going to jail? Okay, can you let me go? Who said I'm letting you go? Okay, so what do you want to do? What if I want to grab your little ass and throw you in that river? Why? Because you think you tough. And I want to prove to you that you ain't shit. I looked at this guy like, whoa. I looked at the other cops too. Like, are you guys kidding me? You walk around all day thinking you're tough until a real tough guy comes along and puts you in your place. At this point, I realize that I'm dealing with a psychopath. And the last thing I want to do is give him the satisfaction. So I decided at that point to do my very best to have self-control. Because this guy was just looking for a reason. But of course, I'm also a young kid. I don't want to disrespect him either. I also don't want to allow anybody to push me around. So I say to him, is that what you want to do? And he says, you don't think I would, huh? I said, I don't know what you would and wouldn't do. And then he says, I'm a police officer. Anything that I do, I can get away with it. You want to know why? Because nobody will believe anything that comes out of your mouth. You already look like a criminal. I didn't say anything. I just kept staring into his eyes. And then he continued, you know, I could grab you, throw you in that river, and drown you, and get away with it. Do you want to know why? Why, sir? Because look at you. So I looked at myself. I'm just wearing jeans and a t-shirt. So aside from threatening that he was going to throw me in that river and drown me, he threatened to take my life as well. In many ways. And he was adamant about how he could get away with it. And after all this threatening, I guess I reached the point where I said, then why don't you do it? And just like the other cop from last time, he got close to my face and started barking about how he could do this and he could do that and he could get away with it, until finally a female officer, out of all these guys, it took one female officer to say, Sarge, let it go. Please, let it go. So he glanced over at her and then looked back at me and said, you're lucky I got more important shit to do. Otherwise, I would grab you and drown you in that river. After they all started walking back to their cars, I walked over to my friends. And they were like, hey man, you alright? You alright? I was shaking. Not gonna lie. I was trembling. Was I trembling because I was afraid? Not really. I was trembling because of how much self-control it took for me to not in any way, shape, or form defend myself. Verbally, physically, because I really wanted to. I just knew that in a way he was right. More than likely, he can get away with doing whatever he wants. So it was the self-control that got me all shook up, that it required for me to keep my composure and not say anything or do anything. So yeah, I was shaking. I was trembling. So we walked back to the car, and before driving away, one of the friends said, you know why they did this to you, bro? You know why? And I looked up. Why? Because you're Mexican, bro. And I said, but you guys are Mexican too. And one of them said, yeah, but you look Mexican. And it was at that point in my life that I started to scratch my head. What do you mean I look Mexican? How can we look Mexican if we are just Mexican because we were born there? You guys are Mexican. And I thought, but they look white. They're not Mexican or identified as Mexican unless they actually say and or claim it. I am identified as a Mexican on sight. Doesn't matter what I do, what I wear, how I speak. I am identified as a Mexican. And these guys are identified as white because they are phenotypically white presenting. And that's why it took one police officer to detain them over there. Meanwhile, it took a couple to detain and surround me because I was more of a threat than the white looking people. Imagine a reality where you need several police officers for one person, but then you only need one police officer for several detainees, if you will. Now, I've experienced way more things than that, but all those experiences all took place when I was still a teenager. Have I experienced anything in recent times? Absolutely. And I'll share it with you. So this happened about 3 years ago or so. And now the rear view. And just like any other time, I don't think it's for me. Because why would it be? I'm not a criminal. I'm a law-abiding citizen that works for a living. So it's always puzzled me how I'm such a target for police. So when I see the lights behind me, I'm thinking, let me move out of their way so they could go catch the bad guy. So I pull in to the water station parking lot to get the hell out of their way. And as I pull in there, I see that the cops are also behind me. And I'm thinking, oh shit, wherever it is that they're going, the criminal that they're looking for must be over here. So when I enter that lot, I go to the right to move out of the way so they could go that way. So I park literally in front of the water station, in front of it. And the one cop car that was behind me parked right behind me as if to block me from being able to reverse and leave. And that's when I realized, oh shit, it's for me. Now, you would assume that a normal person would think something like, oh man, I must have went over the speeding limit. Let me get my ticket and take the L, right? That's more or less what I thought. So here come two cops. A woman, that's a sheriff, which is the one that came to my window, and then a rookie cop that stayed behind by the trunk of my car. And he had his gun drawn out and aimed at me. And I noticed it by looking at him in my rear view. And so I'm waiting for this woman to walk up to my car. This is what I decided to do before she even reached my window. I grabbed my wallet and placed it on my other seat and then placed my hands on the steering wheel so that I am not a threat. Okay, so my hands are on the steering wheel, my car is off, and my wallet is right there, very visible in case I need to grab whatever it is that she asked me to grab. So she walks up and says, license and registration. So I said, can I reach and grab that information for you? She said, yes. I said, and while I'm reaching and grabbing, can I know what you pulled me over for? Yes, you ran a red light. So as I'm grabbing my license and stuff, I'm thinking, there is no red light anywhere near. From my house all the way to here, traffic lights literally do not exist because this is a neighborhood. The water station is in the neighborhood, part of the neighborhood. There is no need to exit our neighborhood. But I was going to let her go ahead and continue claiming that because I knew that that claim of hers was going to save me in court because my vehicle records my...
Saying that you're more interested in those...
If you haven't filed taxes in years, you're probably panicking. But here's the secret. We make it easy to get back.
I'm the only one here who's already voted to abolish ICE. I did so at its inception. And we continue to fight against ICE. But let's be clear about this, too. The enemy here isn't the United States.
Use the promo code to get the Epic Champion at Kempdom for free.
Stephen Miller, or as I like to call him, Micro Penis Goebbels, he crashed out at Democratic Socialists and AOC and Ilhan Omar. And this man clearly has zero ability to analyze himself, okay? Because what he delivers here is just incredibly ironic. Listen to this.
These are people
dressing his mouth. You don't have that suit at home?
I don't. Very popular in the Democratic Party. But that just underscores, Sean, the people you mentioned, the names you mentioned, AOC, Bernie, the Squad, Omar, these are people who even 10 or 15 years ago would have been relegated to the outer extreme fringes of the Democrat Party. They're now the center of the party. They're the heart of the party. They're the soul of the party. So the Democrats have become a party of freaks, weirdos, losers, and crazies. But you can't laugh it off because it's deadly serious. Wow. When you give these people power, everything you know and love in this world falls apart. You have chaos, corruption, decay, violence, poverty.
That's how it ends.
Freaks, weirdos, losers, and crazies, he says. Homie, you're Stephen Miller. Your whole aesthetic is literally jacked from Goebbels, the Nazi twerp. Okay? You don't even really hide the fact. Trump himself said, you know, Stephen Miller, you can't tell people what he really thinks, because if he did, people would be like, oh, that's a little extreme. He's a little extreme. Yes, this is the guy who came up with the idea to disband the part of the government that goes after human trafficking and drug cartels and actual violent criminals, and he told immigration officials, no, go raid the fucking Lowe's parking lot. Go raid the Home Depots. Go storm into the salons. This is the guy who did that. And he's saying others are extremists. You have got to be kidding me. He had the nerve to say, if these DSA people take over, the corruption is going to run rampant. Nobody has ever seen a crime spree like we've seen. Nobody's ever seen the immense level of corruption like we've seen right now being done by your fat pedophile, warmonger, terrorist, con man boss. You have got to be kidding me. What a sick joke. What a sick joke. He said, back in the day, they would have been considered the fringe. Well, tell me exactly what's fringe about them. What's fringe? He's right that now they're the mainstream, and now they're the heart and soul of the party. That's right, but they always should have been that. And by the way, the Democratic voters on the issues have always agreed with Democratic socialists, whether or not they realized it. What exactly is fringe or extreme about universal health care, which every other developed country has one version or another of, and we don't? What's extreme about that? What's extreme about making the minimum wage a living wage? What's extreme about raising taxes on the wealthy, which like 80% of the country wants to do, including many Republicans? What's extreme about that? You tell me what's extreme about that. There's absolutely nothing. The fact of the matter is, ending the wars, ending the endless support for Israel, raising taxes on the rich, giving people child care and education and health care, all that stuff is incredibly popular. And so all they have to try to get you to turn on AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Democratic Socialists, all they have is fucking smears and straw mans and just endless fucking twisting of their words, trying to pretend like they're something that they're not. They have nothing. They have nothing. And for the man who, I mean, this guy looks like a vampire, okay? He looks like a twerp vampire. He looks like the modern-day iteration of Goebbels. He's a guy who spray painted his head with, like, seemingly actual spray paint when he was trying to cover up the fact that he's bald. And for him to call anybody else a loser, a freak, a weirdo, a crazy, like, you have got to be kidding me. Zero self-awareness. The lack of self-awareness is absolutely positively off the charts. I've never seen anybody with such an insane lack of self-awareness. It's almost like they're rubbing it in your face that
a full cart that's lighter on your wallet. That's a breath of fresh air. Download the Upside app and get a $10 bonus on your first purchase.
A Science and Kirk success story.
Smash that like button.
Dancing is her thing, and helping kids through her youth literacy.
We are the extremists. We are the crazy people, but we're just going to see how long we can get away with this where we try to call the others extremists and crazy. What's more extreme, universal health care or shoving immigrants in concentration camps? I'll wait. What's more extreme, protecting all of the Epstein elite pedophiles or wanting to raise the minimum wage? I'll wait. You tell me what's extreme. What's more extreme, Donald Trump making billions of dollars off the White House or fighting for universal child care? I'll wait. You tell me what's more extreme. In every single way, this man is completely and utterly full of shit. He's a liar. He's deranged. He's disgusting. And make no mistake about it, he is the architect of everything that Trump has done when it comes to ICE. He's the architect of it. And that means it is directly on his hands that now our government is engaged in abductions and mass kidnappings, and that they've destroyed due process. We no longer have due process in this country. He is directly responsible for the fact that over 4,000 people are missing because of ICE, that I believe 53 or 54 people have died in ICE custody. He's responsible for the fact that ICE is accused of doing slavery at their detention camps, that there are literal criminals joining ICE. People were astonished when they learned about the most recent ICE killer and his long track record of being mentally deranged, assaulting his wife. Like, the last person in the country you would ever give a gun and a badge to, and Stephen Miller did it with a smile on his face. Why? Because he wants criminals to do Trump's dirty bidding. That's why. And he has the nerve to call Democrats extremists. He has the nerve to call AOC an extremist. Are you fucking kidding me? You've got to be kidding me. This guy's group of paramilitary thugs assaulted an 84-year-old married couple, but Democrats are the extremists? This guy had his ICE thugs shoot a priest in the face with pepper balls, knowing he was not a threat to anybody, but it's the Democrats, it's Ilhan Omar that's the problem. You gladly support the genocide in Gaza, but where the problem? Where the issue? DSA? You got an issue with Hassan Piker when all he's trying to do is get people fucking healthcare and end the wars? God, man, it's just... They literally like tear gas babies and ran over journalists with cars and zip tied kids and put them in the back of U-Haul vans, okay? And again, they have the nerve to come after us and act like we're the problem. You're the motherfucking problem, bro. You're the problem. You've always been the problem. And he knows that. He knows that deep down. So it's amazing to me that they still use this guy as a spokesperson. It's amazing to me. And by the way, he is the reason why ICE went right back at it, and now they got to arrest 2,000 people a day, is all because Stephen Miller is steering the car, bro. He's in charge of this shit. So it's just rich that they send this guy out as a spokesperson when he's literally like one of the most unlikable people I've ever seen on camera ever. Zero charisma, zero communication skills. He's just like a derpy little Nazi twerp is what he is. And it is quite embarrassing and quite disgusting. And unfortunately, we're going to be dealing with his nonsense for quite a while longer. But you know what? He belongs in prison. And I hope the next Democratic president picks Attorney General Jack Smith, and he has a field day with this guy, because this guy is one of the leading criminals in the Trump regime.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
If you don't have a washing machine in your home, then you absolutely need this one. All you have to do is hook it up to your sink and it's ready to use. This one fits up to a 25-pound load with 10 different wash.
A second. So look, Zoran Mamdani, who you want to be part of this Democratic Party, who Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers. He wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish private property. This is literally...
He wants to...
Jerry Garcia, suck a dick. I can't stand a lying bitch-ass motherfucker like you.
Abolish private property? Mamdani wants to get rid of prisons and abolish private property. Made it up. Totally made it up. But she's about to get called on that shit immediately to her face.
Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers.
They think anybody that disapproves of pudding ankles is a Democrat. Y'all got to stop that shit. Just because we don't think your whack-ass president is a good choice don't mean that we're Democrats, you fucking dummy.
Wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish private property. This is literally the most radical.
When did he ever say that, Lydia?
He wants government run
Rikers. You just lied.
I did not lie. Can I speak for 2 seconds? I'm not here to answer to you. Okay,
You just made the claim.
Can I speak for 2 seconds? This is.
When did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did
That's
he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA.
Oh, see what she did there? He said it to, it's part of his platform to, okay, well, actually, it's part of the
See Isaiah Martin on her motherfucking neck.
DSA platform, and he's part of DSA. They have nothing on us, and they have to reach so hard to get anything they could even try to muster up an attack with. Notice how the goalpost shifted like that. They shifted like that. He wants to get rid of private property, made up, and he wants to abolish all prisons, made up. Totally made up. Totally made up. And thank God Isaiah Martin called her on this. Thank God. Am I allowed to speak? Not if you're going to fucking lie with every single breath you take. No, then you actually shouldn't be allowed to speak. Because this is not like you have a responsibility being on CNN, which is supposed to be a news network. You have a responsibility to tell the truth. Because if you're not doing your job. You're a liar. You're a propagandist. You're misleading people. And you're full of shit. And you shouldn't have this extreme power of being on this network.
Did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did
That's
he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA. I can point you to the website after. I'm happy to show you that.
One time you just lied on air.
Oh my lord. Okay, I'm
Lydia,
happy to point you to the website.
It's just a simple question. Has he actually said that?
That's literally part of his platform.
Where?
On his website.
Was that on his
He wants
mayoral
government-run grocery stores. This is literally.
When did he say about getting rid of prisons?
My point is that you have a candidate like Zoran Mamdani who is incredibly radical. The Democratic Party is thrilled to embrace because, the alternative is.
Well, okay, let's.
Oh my lord! Can you stop interrupting?
Can you stop and just let me get away with shamelessly lying? Why won't you just let me get away with smearing and lying and tarnishing? Why don't you just let me do that? This is what we do. This is sort of our thing as Republicans. This is what we're known for. I mean, if we're not allowed to lie, we can't say anything. Yeah, interesting. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that, quite an admission right there? I think it is kind of quite an admission.
For like 3 seconds. The point is, this is the new mantle bearer. This is why they were thrilled to embrace Graham Plattner, despite the fact that he had a Nazi tattoo. There is no energy apart from these people. And the more conventional Democrats, like Chuck Schumer, are scared to stand up and call out any of these rational extremist policies.
Chuck Schumer endorsed against Graham Plattner. Zoran Mamdani did launch his government. He didn't endorse Graham Plattner. Run grocery stores.
The reason why she's saying insane stuff like he wants to get rid of all private property and he wants to abolish all prisons, the reason why she's doing that is because she can't actually engage with what this man has actually done. What he's actually done is overseen a massive historic decrease in the crime. What he's actually done is crack down on shitty landlords. What he's actually done is ordered a deep cleaning of the subway. What he's actually done is got Hochul on board for universal childcare, which they're delivering. What he's actually done is frozen the rent for, I believe it's a 2-year period. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think he was able to do it for a 2-year period. What he's actually done is filled a record number of potholes. What he's actually done is taxed the rich. Literally everything I just mentioned there polls at an overwhelming majority of people supporting it and liking it. His approval rating has gone up since he took power. Most politicians, it goes down. With him, it went up. Why? Because he's showing, I will actually fight for you and actually deliver. And when I'm mayor, I actually do have power, and I'm going to use it. I'm not going to do nothing or do the wrong things and then say, like, oh, what did you want me to do? I didn't have the ability to. I tried, but nothing could have been done. He doesn't do that. He actually delivers. And since he's delivering, since people love him, they're panicked, and what they have to do is revert to just lying and smearing and tarnishing and making shit up. And by the way, just understand, this is their playbook going forward. Their playbook is going to be, go to the DSA policy platform, pick the things that poll the lowest among the American people. Hammer away on those things. Even though, mind you, virtually none of the Democratic Socialist candidates who are running are out there specifically running on abolishing all prisons, for example. Defunding the police, for example. The thing that Democratic Socialists are running on, if you listen to them and take them at their word, is we want to raise the minimum wage. We want Medicare for all. We want to tax the rich. We want to stop sending all our money to Israel. We want to stop the Iran war, right? So, but this is all they have. All they have are lies and smears and trying to harp away on the handful of things that don't poll as popular in the DSA platform. I'm telling you now, prepare yourself. In the same way that they can't run against James Tallarico without pointing out that he doesn't despise trans people, This is what they're going to do with every other Democratic Socialist or Democratic Socialist adjacent candidate, is they're just going to hit them with you want to get rid of all prisons, you want to get rid of all private property, and they want us to have that conversation. Always redirect the conversation back to the reality. Point number one, point out they're just lying over and over, as Isaiah Martin did here. And then point number two is harp away on what we're actually doing and what we actually support, which is all the stuff that Zoran is doing, which is fucking incredible. And then add on top of that, of course, Medicare for all, ending the wars, living wage, et cetera, et cetera. So well done there by Isaiah Martin. Well done there by Abby Phillips. But we really don't need to have, like, I'm sorry, we just don't need these people in the room. They shouldn't be in the room. It's totally unacceptable. It's like, you know, they take a shit in the punch bowl every day. And we're supposed to act like, yep, that's fine. That's just part of the conversation and debate and discussion. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, it's not. They need to act more civilized and come more correct. And if they don't, they shouldn't be allowed in the conversation. All right, y'all, that's the show, man. I love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. You can also click that bell icon, support the show on Patreon, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack, and go sub to Corin's World, and we'll see you there live on...
Smash that like button, y'all. Double tap that screen. Let's go.
Solar panels are a $25,000 scam. LED bulbs don't do anything. Smart thermostats are useless. A 5-minute correction
Smash that like button is free.
All three combined, and it costs nothing.
It helps the channel out a great deal.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about this. This is crazy, and it shows you the difference between the political parties, okay? So Isaac Saul says, according to newly released court filings and allegations, Republican Representative Max Miller from Ohio, son-in-law of Senator Bernie Moreno, poured hot water on his wife, put a gun to her head, and may have broken his 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. Bro has a track record of violence. I think I also read that like an ex of his also said, oh yeah, he's violent. He's an abuser. That's what he is. We know all of this. So as Crystal points out, horrifying allegations, the child reportedly told her mom, quote, "Daddy's house is scary." Current elected MAGA Republican representative in the caucus with them, in the caucus. And by the way, Republicans have known about this. This guy gave a speech going after the corrupt con man and criminal, George Santos, and then George Santos responded to him and said, "You're a woman beater." That was all the way back in like 2022, 2023. They've known about this. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. Look at this. A Democrat accused of having a sexual encounter, a woman later regrets. Half the party called for his resignation. Republican pours hot water on his wife, puts a gun to her head, and suspected of breaking his 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. Crickets. Remember, the kid said, "Daddy's house is scary." That's what the kid said. Al Franken. I just posted about this the other day. Al Franken was forced to step down by other Democrats. Why? Because there was a picture of him when he was doing, when he was a comedian and he was doing, like a show in Iraq. On the way back, you had a woman who was sleeping, a female soldier who was sleeping. She was wearing like a bulletproof vest, like a flak jacket type thing. And Al Franken took a picture where he's pretending to grope her and grab her breasts. Not actually touching her, pretending to grope her and grab her breasts. Again, she's wearing the flak jacket too, right? They saw that. The party coalesced and said, you need to fucking resign. So that's what gets you kicked out. If you're a Democrat, that's what gets your own party to say, get the fuck out. But if you're a Republican, you can literally assault your daughter and your wife repeatedly with horror stories and completely get away with it. It seems to me like this is not something that can continue. This is not, like, democracy cannot continue if this is how extreme the double standards are. Okay, but I'm not done. Now let's go to, here's MS Now. We have Chris Hayes, and he's talking about the allegations. Here we go.
In a Republican House caucus that has a lot of powerful, scandal-ridden figures, the member of possibly the most serious allegations swirling around him is also one of the least known. The pressure is now building on Ohio Congressman Max Miller. This month, Mother Jones Magazine obtained 2,000 pages of court filings and police reports related to Miller. Records detailing allegations of drug use by Miller, misogyny and verbal abuse, and violent behavior against multiple women, including his ex-wife, Emily Moreno. She's the daughter of Ohio Republican Senator Bernie Moreno.
By the way, that guy, Bernie Moreno, was just grilling Dr. Fauci. And it's like, you're grilling Dr. Fauci harder than you grilled your son-in-law who beat the shit out of your daughter. What kind of shit is that, bro? By the way, and the idea that this is like the only one, there's so many of these Republicans have the darkest secrets you've ever seen. Remember Scott Desjardins? Go read about Scott Desjardins, a pro-life Republican who had like multiple of his mistresses get abortions that he forced them to get. That's who these people are. Oh, my days.
Last February, the documents show, Moreno took her and Miller's 2-year-old daughter to the ER with a broken collarbone. According to Mother Jones, police records show that Moreno told detectives that Miller had previously thrown hot water at her, shoved her, and held a gun to her head. Therefore, she couldn't rule out that Miller caused their daughter's fracture. A child protection specialist reviewing the case said the bruising around the fracture resembled a handprint. Moreno never filed a police report. Miller said the bruises might have come from a seatbelt. The investigation found insufficient evidence of a crime. But Moreno did tell detectives something she said her daughter told her, quote, "Daddy's house is scary." A spokesman for Miller referred Mother Jones to previous statements denying Miller has ever committed violence against women. Moreno's lawyer declined Mother Jones' request for comment. Now, Miller has represented Ohio's heavily Republican 7th District since 2023, after first holding several jobs in Donald Trump's first administration. Trump called him a great guy, supported his campaign for Congress. But multiple sources at the time told Politico that Miller's prior romantic relationship with former Trump press secretary Stephanie Grisham, remember her, ended when he pushed her against a wall and slapped her in the face in his Washington apartment. Miller denies those allegations. But in a column for the Washington Post, Grisham wrote that she had told Donald and Melania Trump she was abused by a fellow White House staffer and they didn't act on the information. To the contrary, she wrote in this column, knowing what he knows, Trump has endorsed my ex's bid for Congress. Now, as Miller runs for re-election, Republican lawmakers remain largely silent about these shocking allegations of violence. Nikki McCann Ramirez is a politics reporter at Rolling Stone.
Now, by the way, let me also point out Corey Mills of Florida. Do you guys know about Corey Mills? So he's a Republican congressperson, big-time MAGA guy, and he has the list of scandals this guy's involved in. Okay, revenge porn threats. He's accused in a Florida police report of threatening to release sexually explicit videos and images of a woman following a previous relationship. So threatening to do revenge porn, and there's evidence of it, okay? Assault. A 2025 police report detailed an incident where Mills allegedly grabbed, shoved, and then pushed his then-girlfriend out of his apartment door. So physical altercation with his then-girlfriend. By the way, I'm pretty sure he's married, and then the girlfriend's like on the side type shit. House Ethics investigation. So he's formally under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for alleged sexual misconduct. So a new thing. And by the way, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening because you know these Republicans, they protect their own no matter what. They endlessly protect their own. There's a DOJ criminal investigation. He's under scrutiny for the misuse of official congressional resources and campaign financial fraud. He's linked to a Florida lawsuit exposing his private defense contracting firm to more than $66 million in outstanding debt. So he's got a private defense contracting firm. At the same time, he's a sitting congressperson. That alone is absolutely mental. That should be illegal 1,000 times over. Then on top of that, apparently, he's faced stolen valor accusations. You all know what stolen valor is. The idea that, like, he claims to be some sort of wartime hero, and that's a total fucking fabrication. So, and this is just another day that ends in Y when it comes to the Republican caucus. And none of this is talked about. Nothing's actually been done about it. Oh, there's an investigation. I'm sure the Republicans are going to investigate themselves. I'm sure, like the IDF investigates themselves. I'm sure it'll all work out. But this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're up against. So I keep telling Democrats, you need to be more ruthless. You need to be more ruthless, and you need to go after the other side. Stop with this fucking, like, Al Franken should still be in there. I'm sorry. He never should have fucking been forced to step down. Never. And when they tried to get him to, he should have said, fuck off. That's what should have happened. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the double standards. Either everybody plays by the same rules, or if you want to do fucking free-for-all, nothing matters, okay, then free-for-all, nothing matters on both sides. Okay? Me personally, I want there to be rules, but they need to be applied evenly. And if they're not, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear from these Republicans. So, just crazy, bro. Just crazy. The stuff that they get away with. The stuff that they do and then puff their chest out and say, we don't fucking care what you have to say. It's a new political era, and Democrats need to wake up to this political era. Our politics is broken, and I refuse anymore to be engaged in a system here where they can get away with anything and we get away with absolutely nothing, and then they play the victim and whine and cry and bitch and moan and act like they're the ones who have the stricter standards. They can shut the fuck up forever, and we need to get real serious about this modern era that we're in. By the way, he has an opponent, and this is the Democrat running against him. So Max Miller, the child beater and wife beater, His opponent is Brian Poindexter. And listen to his ad.
With the way... Want to get this damage machine for free? Use the code NEMESIS to claim the epic Akemtum.
Welcome to Frozen Barbecue. Please remain calm and hungry. Customer patience level unstable.
Hey, Chef, we believe in you.
Warning, meat pile pressure rising. Automation protocol activated. Critical alert. Hunger levels have exceeded common sense.
I'm hungry!
Please, hurry up! Grill overload detected. Warning, grill pressure rising.
Finally, steak!
Warning, grill capacity has reached limit.
Please? Chef, you're saving lives out here.
Conveyor belt activated. Cooking speed increased. Overload resolved. Customer survival rate high. Lunch rush completed. Preparing next disaster.
Whiteout Survival. Play free now.
Things are going. I don't think working people like you and me are going to hold on much longer. I mean, we're working harder and harder, and we're getting less and less. Growing up in the 80s on the west side of Cleveland, we didn't have much, but an honest day's work was enough to provide for your family. My dad was a machinist with the IAM for 46 years. That one job was enough to support a family of 8. That is obviously not possible anymore. I got my first job at a machine shop at 15 years old. I worked 7 days a week. It was 1995. I was making $6 an hour, which at the time wasn't that bad. You know what's really messed up? Is minimum wage is barely more than I made over 30 years ago. We're hurting, man. We're hurting just to boost the profit margins of those who have too much. What really pisses me off is we're struggling to make ends meet, and we got a guy on pace to be a trillionaire. Our whole district could be millionaires with the amount of money that one guy's going to accumulate for himself. And good people can't even get SNAP benefits? That's crazy to me. And I'm tired. I am tired of the Republicans who are in the pockets of the rich and the corporations. I'm tired of the sellout Democrats too. The ones who fight for everybody else except for the working people. We have to fundamentally change who has power in our country. The time is now. We don't have time to wait. We got to raise the minimum wage. We got to protect workers. We got to strengthen unions, save Social Security, and guarantee health care. I'm Brian Poindexter. I'm a dad. I'm a union iron worker. I'm a Browns fan. I'm a Brook Park City Council member. And I'm running for Congress to end this corruption. Our current congressman, he was born rich. He doesn't know what it takes to struggle. He is going to pour millions of dollars into this race to try to silence me and you. He is a stain on Northeast Ohio. And with your help, we're going to send him packing. I don't want to think about politics. I just want to go build stuff. But the politicians in Washington are making things worse. They're making life harder and they're cheapening our labor. And I feel a tremendous responsibility to stand up for working people like you and me. I am asking you to join me because this might be our last and only shot to get things back on track, to tell the billionaires where to shove it, and to finally fight for working people.
Y'all know what to do, man. Brian Poindexter. Make him a congressman.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Meanwhile, every other Middle East country is attacking you too. I've never made it past day 4, even with building strong bases and powerful units. What would be your strategy? Because I sure don't have one. Give it a try in Supremacy World War III.
All right, it's Jen. I just have to start with Mitch McConnell. I mean, where the hell is Mitch McConnell? What is going on with Mitch McConnell? There are so many questions. It has now been, in case you aren't counting, a bit over a month since we have seen the man, really, aside from that one photo. And it's pretty unclear what is going on here. I mean, again, the photo has really been their only attempt, really, at showing some sort of proof of life going on here. And the photo then was memed so many times by so many people, as I'm sure you saw. Mitch McConnell has been everywhere. He's pretty much played in the World Cup, according to all the memed photos, that it's hard to even know what's true and false and what's the original photo, right? So there's that. Now, Since his hospitalization in June, McConnell has missed 40 votes. This is a guy who used to be the majority leader in the Senate. He missed 40 votes, which is certainly not insignificant. And according to the most recent health update, and this is basically all we know right now, he's still not medically cleared to leave his rehab facility or return to work as he goes through intense physical therapy. That is what they're telling us, but who the hell knows? So basically the people of Kentucky are essentially left without one of their senators. Republican senators are left without one of their senators. And there are a lot of questions as to what the hell's going on here and what happens next. Now, because of all of this, there is a huge amount of pressure, understandably, on Governor Beshear, a Democrat, of course, the governor of Kentucky, to do something, to find out what is happening. So there's been a lot of pressure on Governor Beshear, which is probably why he sent out a letter demanding that the senator address the people of Kentucky verbally. We don't just want a photo that can be memed. We don't want a photo. We want to hear your voice. We don't want to hear about phone calls, which have also become a whole crazy meme. We want to hear your voice. And in the letter, here is what Beshear says. He says, as governor of the state you serve, I'm calling you to directly and verbally address the people of Kentucky and provide proof of your capacity to serve or resign. Now, there are a lot of sternly worded letters flying around Washington and flying around the country. And certainly there is valid criticism of like, why sternly worded letter? Why not just march down to the hospital or do something? That is a very valid question. But the other thing going on here is that there are a lot of theories as to what Governor Beshear actually has the power to do. And I know this, you probably have heard a lot of these theories. I know this because they're just the things flowing in and out of my feed. And my husband has a lot of family in Kentucky, so I don't know, maybe it's flowing in there from there too. But a lot of different theories here. And I just want to go through a couple of them because one that's been all over my feed is about what happens if Mitch McConnell is declared unfit for office before August 3rd. Like August 3rd is some sort of a magical date. And this theory goes that that is when Kentucky would have to have a special election where then, of course, the theory goes, Thomas Massie would swoop in and take the Senate seat. Now, Thomas Massie, not a Democrat, I'm just going to remind you all, he is definitely anti-Trump, but on very particular specific things that piss a lot of people off. The war, the Epstein files, good on him. But he's not exactly a vote for expanding access to health care or, raising taxes on the highest income or doing something about data centers. He's not a reliable, he's not going to be like part of the Democratic caucus. But let me just debunk this theory in itself, because certainly he'd be a better option than a number of people who are certainly currently sitting in the Senate. Okay, that's one of the theories, and I will get back to that in a second. But another theory is that McConnell's team and the Republicans behind him are delaying news of his unfitness to serve to somehow prevent Governor Beshear, a Democrat, from appointing a replacement. Okay, that is a big thing you hear over and over again. Well, those theories, Senator Massie, and this behind-the-scenes effort, not that they're not trying to screw over Governor Beshear. Of course they are, constantly, I'm sure. But on this particular thing, it sounds very House of Cards meets Veep, but neither of those things are probably what is going to happen or what is actually really going on here for a couple of reasons. Because first of all, thanks to a 2024 law passed by a Republican-dominated General Assembly in Kentucky, Governor Beshear has no power to appoint his interim replacement. So it doesn't, even if Mitch McConnell, even if they'd said he can't serve anymore, Governor Beshear doesn't have the power to replace him. The Republicans passed the law 2 years ago to make that the case. Instead, the vacancy would have to be filled with a special election, and party committees would choose their own nominees. And this is what brings me back to Thomas Massie, because there is no way in hell the Republican Party Committee in Kentucky or most states is picking Thomas Massie to be their representative. So I'm sorry, Governor Beshear doesn't currently have any power to appoint the replacement, and Thomas Massie would not be the one chosen by the Republican Party Committee. Now, could Beshear challenge the 2024 law? Sure. Is there a will to change that in Kentucky? I really don't think so. The other thing I would note, because the frustration here, or the focus on this, understandably, is could this be another Senate seat for Democrats? There have been some really interesting people run for Senate in Kentucky, and obviously Governor Beshear is a Democrat. Here's the thing. There's been a lot of Democrats who've been governor of Kentucky. including Governor Beshear, including his dad. There has not been a Democratic senator from Kentucky since 1992. Could it happen again? Maybe, but this is not the path forward to Democrats regaining the majority. So fascinating to watch. I don't know what the hell's going on with Mitch McConnell. I don't know if he's still with us. I don't know what capacity he is in, even if he is still with us.
All you conservative right-wing people can only your only argument is that the Democrats did, but what about the Democrats? And what about the Democrats? Cry harder.
I don't know the answer to any of those questions, but fascinating to watch. But it's not the answer to the how do you hold Trump accountable question, which is why one of the reasons I think it's of interest. Okay. Speaking of just weird stuff happening, and this one really stuck out to me, RFK Jr. Now, since the last election, it has been abundantly clear that the American people, thanks in large part to what RFK Jr. and other fake public health officials have done to our system, are losing faith in our public health system. They are mad. They are understandably. And look at what's happening around the country. I mean, there's a rise in measles cases. We have an outbreak of explosive diarrhea that could have been prevented. There are so many examples here of things that don't need to be an issue, that people are grappling with this in this country and are because of the failure of RFK Jr. and the public health system. Well, this is what always sticks out to me about these freaking people. They seem to think they are observers of the problem, not the people driving the problem. RFK Jr. is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And he went on Fox this week, and I just have to show you what he had to say.
Good evening, and welcome to Behind the Shadows. My name is Susan Finelli, and I am your host and author of Behind the Shadows, a program where we go behind the shadows of what meets the eye. This evening, we will be going behind the shadows of hoarding. Our guest tonight is Dr. Stephen Brodsky. Dr. Brodsky is a licensed clinical psychologist and psychotherapist practicing in Manhattan and New Jersey. He specializes in treating OCD, hoarding, and panic. Dr. Brodsky has treated numerous...
Americans no longer trust public health.
That's terrible. I mean, first of all, he's right. Americans don't trust the public health system. Actually, a Fox News poll have Americans approving 45% and disapproving 54%. But all...
Hey. My family in the chat. Let's take note at how many fucking Republicans type the word Democrat in their fucking response. We're going to count on you bitches tonight. Tonight, we're going to call you bitches out right where you stand. And we're going to show you puppets exactly what the strings on your back are going to do before you do it. I challenge you weak-ass conservatives or you weak-ass fucking puppy lickers to stop being so fucking robotic. Stop being so goddamn predictable. You motherfuckers type in Democrats in your fucking live stream. I don't even waste my time typing in Republicans. Yada, yada, yada. For what? All y'all a bunch of dried up raisins. All you dumb bitches do is type in Democrat. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. That lets you know that y'all motherfuckers, and all you talk about is Democrats. You ain't talking about no policies. You ain't talking about no laws. You ain't talking about no court cases, litigations, none of that shit. Y'all just dumb.
So, my friend, you're not really my friend, but listen, you are the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I don't know what a brainworm does to people. But you know that, right? You know you're in charge. And if the public is disapproving of the public health system, you are what they are disapproving of. I'm not sure if you're tracking that, but that is the key thing. And as I already mentioned, worst measles outbreak.
Look, y'all, no policies again. You're ignorant. Motherfucker got the nerve to put 4 stars for fucking. Y'all motherfuckers are pedophiles, and you worrying about saying a profane word? Grow the fuck up.
In 35 years, if you're a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, that alone is enough to make you feel a huge amount.
Matter of fact, they stuck on stupid. Type SOS in the chat right now. Spam SOS in the chat. If you recognize that some of these MAGAs and these dummies in here are stuck on stupid. Let's go, y'all. In the chat, spam it right now. God damn, y'all pitiful.
Of understandable rage. And you would think, given public health and kind of like the health in this country is something that usually transcends partisan lines. It is something that people worry about in communities, no matter their political affiliation. You'd think that of all the members of the cabinet, that RFK Jr. would be a target and somebody that Republicans in office and in the Senate would focus their energies and their anger at for what he is doing to our system. No, of course not. Of course not. And I just want to give you a few examples because today, Dr. Fauci testified. This week, I should say, Dr. Fauci testified before Congress. And the members of the Republican Senate who were there used this as a moment to push a range of conspiracies, including about what works to treat COVID. And I just have to start with Ron Johnson. Man, is he not a rocket scientist, but in his moment to talk to a public health official, and he was there because they're continuing to push this total right, crazy conspiracy theory that Dr. Fauci somehow decided to purposefully create COVID in a Chinese lab through funding with the NIH, which is false for a million.
There go another fucking weirdo, weak ass Republican, or I'ma just say white man. Only a white man is gonna sit in this bitch and talk about whether somebody's Democratic or Republican, but not whether or not they're fucking a pedo or a stand-up fucking individual. They just want to talk about political parties. They don't want to talk about how all these white men is sexually abusing underage children. Fuck y'all.
Reasons NIH did not give funding to any program like that. Dr. Fauci is somebody who's been in public health for decades. That's crazy. And third, all of this is so that they can put the blame on him. That aside, this is what the hearing was about. This is Ron Johnson and what he used his time for.
And then when it comes to ivermectin, which, by the way, because I was contacted by so many people, I referred them to doctors who actually had the courage and compassion to treat vaccine-injured individuals. It worked.
I mean, it does not work. It is not an effective tool in treating COVID. Have we been doing this for 6 years now? I want to bang my head against the wall. I'm sure many others do as well. Also, that's what he used his time for, to push a conspiracy theory.
There it is. Hey, y'all. Type in ROTN, Revenge of the Nerds. That's what these motherfuckers are. Revenge of the Nerds. Rotten. You rotten motherfuckers. Yeah, y'all, we just came up with some shit. Type rotten, ROTN, Revenge of the Nerds. In the motherfuckers, in the chat right now. Revenge of the Nerds. You rotten motherfuckers. Rotten.
about a treatment that did not work. And now he's not alone. Here we are. Doesn't it feel like we're going back in time to what we used to do? Because here was Peter Navarro outside the White House today.
All this stuff with science, Jasmine, I want to emphasize, tells us now works. He was saying didn't work. I had 1 million doses of hydroxychloroquine in warehouses as the defense policy coordinator for the DPA that I was trying to distribute to hospitals, and he got the FDA to stop me from doing that. Thousands of people could be here in this country right now.
That's what MAGA is. Revenge of the fucking nerds. White nationalists, revenge of the nerds. Proud Boys, revenge of the fucking nerds.
If I had been able to distribute that, take that to the bank, that's what the science says.
Okay, he's obviously a cuckoo bird. So is Ron Johnson. But the reason why this matters is because when you have an official from the White House and senators using their platforms to project inaccurate information about public health and to decrease the trust in vaccines which worked for COVID.
Shout out to motherfuckers who ate lead as kids.
At a time when you have a massive increase in a measles outbreak and you have other potential diseases that could spread because people aren't taking or giving their kids vaccines, then that is a hugely dangerous public health situation. And that is what they are contributing to. Even though they are cuckoo birds, they are also very dangerous in what they're saying. Okay. Another issue. I mean, the more I listen to Donald Trump talk about Iran, the more I'm like, I don't think we know he's not a policy wonk. I don't think he understands like the basics of what's going on here or the history or even how global oil markets work, which is kind of
Smash
surprising,
that like button,
I guess,
y'all.
since at least he...
Hey, y'all, as soon as these numbers come in, we'll probably monetize. We already got enough subscribers, and I'm pretty sure we already got enough watch hours. So continue to subscribe, and definitely, and don't forget, we just went from 0 to 5. What is it? We just went to 0 to 550 subscribers in 9 days, y'all. Let's go.
In the business world for some period of time. And he was on Fox with Brian Kilmeade this week, and he did this interview, and it was almost like Brian Kilmeade was trying to give him a line to help him out. And I just got to play it because it just shows you just there are other issues, but like his total confusion about the basics of how things work.
Only ships that we want to get through. Iran doesn't control the strait. We control the strait. So we had the blockade. Right. We had the confines of a deal. I set the blockade back, but I didn't take it away. The ships were not far away.
But ships are not getting through now.
And then I had to bring it back.
Mr. President, are we right that the no merchant ships are getting through right now? Maybe 3 or 4 a day when you need about 100?
The only ones that get through are the ones that we want to get through. They're the only ships that get through, Brian. We have a blockade that's so powerful that nobody can get through.
Join the world's #1 RPG game. Download now.
Comparing Pokemon card values online versus this new trading card app. This Charizard number 154 is going for roughly $900 with a PSA 10. However, on this app...
Okay. So, here's the problem for Trump. That's why Brian Kilmeade said 100 ships, because you need that number of ships in order to have enough oil out there in the markets so that there isn't a shortage of supply. Because when there's a shortage of supply, the prices go up at gas stations everywhere in the world, but also in the country. Trump seemed to be missing that particular detail. I mean, he could have said all sorts of things like, we want to make sure 100 ships get through, working through it. That's our plan. That's our goal. We're going to get there. Whatever. He could have lied and said, oh yeah, we are having the number of ships that get through. 3 or 4 a day, not enough. Maybe he doesn't understand it. Maybe he lies all the time so much that he forgets what it all means. I don't even know. But when you're watching what's happening with this war and what they're saying, it becomes even more concerning. And one of the things, and this has not gotten nearly enough attention in my view, but UN Ambassador Mike Waltz went on Meet the Press this past weekend, and Kristen Welker pushed him on kind of a plan for ending the war. She also pushed him on a timeline. That should be, I mean, remember, this was supposed to be a very short military action back in March when it was launched. And here's what he said, which I think should be freaking alarming, but everybody should hear it.
Do you anticipate this conflict will be concluded by the new year?
Oh, I'm not going to put some kind of timeline on it.
You're not? Not by the new year? The new year is 5 months from now. I don't even know what the price of oil and gas at the pump would be 5 months from now. I talked to Amos Hochstein about this last week, and he's an expert on it, and he doesn't even think that's sustainable. That is the UN ambassador who won't even give a time frame for ending a war that they started that was supposed to be short. I don't know why more people are not paying attention to that, but I certainly hope they do. Okay. Another thing happening here in Washington, remember the old reflecting pool story? Oh, it's ongoing. It's still ongoing. And this is also a good example of, I guess, incompetence, but maybe incompetence that works out how it's supposed to work out. Because remember you all remember the botched renovation of the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, the one that cost Americans $16 million in taxpayer money, in case you were forgetting that particular detail. Well, if you remember, one of the people who was arrested and accused of damaging the reflecting pool, which is so crazy. I mean, do you think this person got in the middle of the reflecting pool, in the dark of night or middle of the day, nobody noticed, and just took a knife through the length of the reflecting pool? Like, no way, it didn't happen, okay? But was this guy by the name of Davy Hearn, who is a Olympic canoeist, actually, of all things. And he was indicted this month. He pleaded not guilty. But, that's pretty alarming. You're an Olympic canoeist. I think he said he just touched the water to see, or touched the part of the paint just to see what was happening. And the government obviously thought that was a good idea. But guess what? The government's only witness to testify about the damage to the pool said that the pool was already damaged before Hearn, the Olympic canoeist, put his hand in the water. That's according to a court filing by Hearn's legal team. So that's where we are, everyone. The government indicted a former Olympic canoeist, charged him, trying to pin the reflecting pool damage on him and not the faulty paint and the no-bid contract and the poor job Trump did in rushing this through. And guess what? The only witness says, no, that wasn't what happened here, okay? That it was already damaged before. That tells you about incompetence. It tells you it reminds me a lot of the sandwich guy. Remember the sandwich guy, the guy who threw the sandwich, and they tried to indict him? And it's like, what are we even doing here? This is what we're doing here, which is so completely crazy. But my point is, the reflecting pool saga continues, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Smash that like button, y'all. We got a poll up. And that poll says, how are Trump's poll numbers? And your options are the worst ever, bad, worse than before the war, better than before the war. Let's go. Tap in. This right here is where we get the answers, we get the numbers, and we don't fuck around with the lies. Let's get to it.
A full cart that's lighter on your wallet. That's a breath of fresh air. Download the Upside app and get a $15 bonus on your first purchase.
My whole crew knew my wife was cheating for 2 years.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about this. This is crazy, and it shows you the difference between the political parties, okay? So Isaac Saul says, according to newly released court filings and allegations, Republican Representative Max Miller from Ohio, son-in-law of Senator Bernie Moreno, poured hot water on his wife, put a gun to her head, and may have broken his 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. Bro has a track record of violence. I think I also read that an ex of his also said, oh yeah, he's violent. He's an abuser. That's what he is. We know all of this. So as Crystal points out, horrifying allegations, the child reportedly told her mom, quote, "Daddy's house is scary." Current elected MAGA Republican representative in the caucus with them, in the caucus. And by the way, Republicans have known about this. This guy gave a speech going after the corrupt con man and criminal, George Santos, and then George Santos responded to him and said, "You're a woman beater." That was all the way back in 2022, 2023. They've known about this. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. Look at this. A Democrat accused of having a sexual encounter, a woman later regrets. Half the party called for his resignation. Republican pours hot water on his wife, puts a gun to her head, and suspected of breaking his 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. Crickets. Remember, the kid said, Daddy's house is scary. That's what the kid said. Al Franken. I just posted about this the other day. Al Franken was forced to step down by other Democrats. Why? Because there was a picture of him when he was doing, when he was a comedian, and he was doing, like a show in Iraq. On the way back, you had a woman who was sleeping, a female soldier who was sleeping. She was wearing like a bulletproof vest, like a flak jacket type thing. And Al Franken took a picture where he's pretending to grope her and grab her breasts. Not actually touching her, pretending to grope her and grab her breasts. Again, she's wearing the flak jacket too, right? They saw that. The party coalesced and said, you need to fucking resign. So that's what gets you kicked out. If you're a Democrat, that's what gets your own party to say, get the fuck out. But if you're a Republican, you can literally assault your daughter and your wife repeatedly with horror stories and completely get away with it. It seems to me like this is not something that can continue. This is not, like, democracy cannot continue if this is how extreme the double standards are. Okay, but I'm not done. Now let's go to, here's MS Now. We have Chris Hayes, and he's talking about the allegations. Here we go.
In a Republican House caucus that has a lot of powerful, scandal-ridden figures, the member of possibly the most serious allegations swirling around him is also one of the least known. The pressure is now building on Ohio Congressman Max Miller. This month, Mother Jones Magazine obtained 2,000 pages of court filings and police reports related to Miller. Records detailing allegations of drug use by Miller, misogyny and verbal abuse, and violent behavior against multiple women, including his ex-wife, Emily Moreno. She's the daughter of Ohio Republican Senator Bernie Moreno.
By the way, that guy, Bernie Moreno, was just grilling Dr. Fauci. And it's like, you're grilling Dr. Fauci harder than you grilled your son-in-law who beat the shit out of your daughter. What kind of shit is that, bro? By the way, and the idea that this is like the only one, there's so many of these Republicans have the darkest secrets you've ever seen. Remember Scott Desjardins? Go read about Scott Desjardins, a pro-life Republican who had like multiple of his mistresses get abortions that he forced them to get. That's who these people are. Oh, my days.
Last February, the documents show, Moreno took her and Miller's 2-year-old daughter to the ER with a broken collarbone. According to Mother Jones, police records show that Moreno told detectives that Miller had previously thrown hot water at her, shoved her, and held a gun to her head. Therefore, she couldn't rule out that Miller caused their daughter's fracture. A child protection specialist reviewing the case said the bruising around the fracture resembled a handprint. Moreno never filed a police report. Miller said the bruises might have come from a seatbelt. The investigation found insufficient evidence of a crime. But Moreno did tell detectives something she said her daughter told her, quote, "Daddy's house is scary." A spokesman for Miller referred Mother Jones to previous statements denying Miller has ever committed violence against women. Moreno's lawyer declined Mother Jones' request for comment. Now, Miller has represented Ohio's heavily Republican 7th District since 2023, after first holding several jobs in Donald Trump's first administration. Trump called him a great guy, supported his campaign for Congress. But multiple sources at the time told Politico that Miller's prior romantic relationship with former Trump Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham, remember her, ended when he pushed her against a wall and slapped her in the face in his Washington apartment. Miller denies those allegations. But in a column for the Washington Post, Grisham wrote that she had told Donald and Melania Trump she was abused by a fellow White House staffer and they didn't act on the information. To the contrary, she wrote in this column, knowing what he knows, Trump has endorsed my ex's bid for Congress. Now, as Miller runs for re-election, Republican lawmakers remain largely silent about these shocking allegations of violence. Nikki McCann Ramirez is a politics reporter at Rolling Stone.
Now, by the way,
Carp, what it do, Carp? Welcome to the live stream, man.
Let me also point out Corey Mills of Florida. Do you guys know about Corey Mills? So he's a Republican congressperson. Big
Kevin, I holler at you, Holmes.
Time MAGA guy. And he has the list of scandals this guy's involved in. Okay, revenge porn threats. He's accused in a Florida police report of threatening to release sexually explicit videos and images of a woman
Victor Miranda. You sound like a Latino for Trump. Don't make me flame your ass.
following a previous relationship. So threatening to do revenge porn, and there's evidence of it, okay? Assault. A 2025 police report detailed an incident where Mills allegedly grabbed, shoved, and then pushed his then-girlfriend out of his apartment door. So physical altercation with his then-girlfriend. By the way, I'm pretty sure he's married, and then the girlfriend's like on the side type shit. House Ethics investigation. So he's formally under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for alleged sexual misconduct. So a new thing. And by the way, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening because you know these Republicans, they protect their own no matter what. They endlessly protect their own. There's a DOJ criminal investigation. He's under scrutiny for the misuse of official congressional resources and campaign financial fraud. He's linked to a Florida lawsuit exposing his private defense contracting firm to more than $66 million in outstanding debt. So he's got a private defense contracting firm. At the same time, he's a sitting congressperson. That alone is absolutely mental. That should be illegal 1,000 times over. Then on top of that, apparently, he's faced stolen valor accusations. You all know what stolen valor is. The idea that, like, he claims to be some sort of wartime hero, and that's a total fucking fabrication. So, and this is just another day that ends in Y when it comes to the Republican caucus. And none of this is talked about. Nothing's actually been done about it. Oh, there's an investigation. I'm sure the Republicans are going to investigate themselves. I'm sure, like the IDF investigates themselves. I'm sure it'll all work out. But this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're up against. So I keep telling Democrats, you need to be more ruthless. You need to be more ruthless, and you need to go after the other side. Stop with this fucking, like, Al Franken should still be in there. I'm sorry. He never should have fucking been forced to step down. Never. And when they tried to get him to, he should have said, fuck off. That's what should have happened. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the double standards. Either everybody plays by the same rules, or if you want to do fucking free-for-all, nothing matters, okay, then free-for-all, nothing matters on both sides. Okay? Me personally, I want there to be rules, but they need to be applied evenly. And if they're not, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear from these Republicans. So, just crazy, bro. Just crazy. The stuff that they get away with. The stuff that they do and then puff their chest out and say...
Right. Fake news is when you get shot in your ear and you still have one. You know what the fuck an AR-15 round would do to a soft-ass ear? That's what y'all dealing with. Fucking delusion and indoctrination at its fucking core. Motherfucker got shot in his ear, still got a fucking ear. Evander Holyfield got more missing out of his fucking ear, and he got bit. You stupid ass people.
We don't fucking care what you have to say. It's a new political era, and Democrats need to wake up to this political era. Our politics is broken, and I refuse anymore to be engaged in a system here where they can get away with anything and we get away with absolutely nothing, and then they play the victim and whine and cry and bitch and moan and act like they're the ones who have the stricter standards. They can shut the fuck up forever, and we need to get real serious about this modern era that we're in. By the way, he has an opponent, and this is the Democrat running against him. So Max Miller, the child beater and wife beater, his opponent is Brian Poindexter. And listen to his ad.
With the way...
You can see them linked together in the blink of an eye. 2 dental floss picks. Watch. 1.
Things are going, I don't think working people like you and me are going to hold on much longer. I mean, we're working harder and harder, and we're getting less and less. Growing up in the 80s on the west side of Cleveland, we didn't have much, but an honest day's work was enough to provide for your family. My dad was a machinist with the IAM for 46 years. That one job was enough to support a family of 8. That is obviously not possible anymore. I got my first job at a machine shop at 15 years old. I worked 7 days a week. It was 1995. I was making $6 an hour, which at the time wasn't that bad. You know what's really messed up? Is minimum wage is barely more than I made over 30 years ago. We're hurting, man. We're hurting just to boost the profit margins of those who have too much. What really pisses me off is we're struggling to make ends meet, and we got a guy on pace to be a
Oh shit, I thought that was Andrew Tate. My bad.
Our whole district could be millionaires with the amount of money that one guy's going to accumulate for himself. And good people can't even get SNAP benefits? That's crazy to me.
Hold on, what good people you talking about? What I miss?
And I'm tired. I am tired of the Republicans who are in the pockets of the rich and the corporations. I'm tired of the sellout Democrats too. The ones who fight for everybody else except for the working people. We have to fundamentally change who has power in our country. The time is now. We don't have time to wait. We got to raise the minimum wage. We got to protect workers. We got to strengthen unions, save Social Security, and guarantee health care. I'm Brian Poindexter. I'm a dad. I'm a union iron worker. I'm a Browns fan. I'm a Brook Park City Council member. And I'm running for Congress to end this corruption. Our current congressman, he was born rich. He doesn't know what it takes to struggle. He is going to pour millions of dollars into this race to try to silence me and you. He is a stain on Northeast Ohio. And with your help, we're going to send him packing. I don't want to think about politics. I just want to go build stuff. But the politicians in Washington are making things worse. They're making life harder and they're cheapening our labor. And I feel a tremendous responsibility to stand up for working people like you and me. I am asking you to join me because this might be our last and only shot to get things back on track, to tell the billionaires where to shove it, and to finally fight for working people.
Y'all know what to do, man. Brian Poindexter. Make him a congressman.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop.
So at this point, y'all, I genuinely don't understand what CNN is doing, who it's for, because, you know, when you turn on Fox News, you know what you're getting. You're getting state regime propaganda. You're getting MAGA propaganda, Republican propaganda pumped directly into your bloodstream. You're getting boomer poison that has brainwashed, you know, your dad or your grandfather. Like, that's what you're getting. And there is no counterweight to that. That it's not like MS Now is not like the left-wing version of Fox News. They're not like an extremist outlet that's doing propaganda. No, they just do like, they're like a center-left outlet. You know, that's it, right? And then you have like CNN, for example. And what is CNN? CNN is a false equivalence factory. It's a both sides factory. And they've convinced themselves like, oh no, we need to have Republican voices in the room because if we don't, it's not fair. Really? Well, Fox News has like 90% right-wing hacks, and the 10% Democrats they bring on, minus Jessica Tarlov, who does a decent job, but all the rest of them are just like, they're there to play the heel and get railroaded, right? And so, like, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. You don't need to say, hey, for balance's sake, we need absolute depraved liars to be in the room. You don't have to do that. You could actually just go out there and do your job and give people news and information and educate them and tell them this thing called the truth. You could just do that. But they don't want to. They don't want to. Especially now that, you know, Trump's billionaire buddy, the Ellisons, you know, the Ellisons have taken over CBS News. They've taken over TikTok. They're trying to take over CNN. Now CNN and Tap Jaker, for example, they know like, oh shit, Barry Weiss is going to have control here. So now they're trying to go even further right and further right. It's humiliating. And, you know, all the good media outlets are non-existent now. Like, you get some decent ones in online media and independent media, but like they are very few and far between. Well, anyway, that's a long-winded way of me saying, here's a MAGA person on this panel who shouldn't even fucking be on this panel because they're a disgusting liar. And thankfully, they get immediately called on their shit by Isaiah Martin and by Abby Phillips. So shout out to them. Isaiah Martin does a great job here. Abby Phillips does a great job here. But again, I repeat myself, this MAGA hack has no business being on this panel and shouldn't be on this panel. They're a professional liar. That's what they are. Here we go.
I think that's maybe why they're so reluctant to disavow some of these really extreme radical policies, like getting rid of prisons and opening the borders again, as we saw under Biden.
I mean,
and this is the thing. So look, Zoran Mamdani, you mentioned Zoran Mamdani earlier, and you said, great, can I talk for a second? So Zoran Mamdani, who you want to be part of this Democratic Party, who Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers. He wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish private property.
He wants to abolish private property? Mamdani wants to get rid of prisons and abolish private property. Made it up. Totally made it up. But she's about to get called on that shit immediately to her face.
Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers. He wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish private property. This is literally the most radical.
When did he ever say that, Lydia?
He wants government-run Rikers.
You just lied.
I did not lie. Can I speak for 2 seconds? I'm not here to answer to you.
You
Okay,
just made the claim.
Can I speak for 2 seconds? This is.
When did he ever say he wanted?
That was the racism coming out right there. I'm not here to answer to you. Bitch. Y'all heard that, right?
To get rid of prisons. You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did
That's
he ever say that?
literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA.
Oh, see what she did there? He said it to, it's part of his platform too. Okay, well, actually, it's part of the DSA platform, and he's part of DSA. They have nothing on us, and they have to reach so hard to get anything they could even try to muster up an attack with. Notice how the goalpost shifted like that. They shifted like that. He wants to get rid of private property, made up, and he wants to abolish all prisons, made up. Totally made up. Totally made up. And thank God Isaiah Martin called her on this. Thank God. Am I allowed to speak? Not if you're going to fucking lie with every single breath you take. No, then you actually shouldn't be allowed to speak. Because this is not like you have a responsibility being on CNN, which is supposed to be a news network. You have a responsibility to tell the truth. Because if you're not doing your job. You're a liar. You're a propagandist. You're misleading people. And you're full of shit. And you shouldn't have this extreme power of being on this network.
Did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did
That's
he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA. I can point you to the website after. I'm happy to show you that.
One time you just lied on air.
Oh my lord. Okay, I'm happy to point you to the website.
It's just a simple question. Has he actually said that?
That's literally part of his platform.
Where?
On his website.
Was that on his
He wants government-run grocery stores. This is literally.
When did he say about getting rid of prisons?
My point is that you have a candidate like Zoran Mamdani who is incredibly radical. The Democratic Party is thrilled.
Look, y'all, just like their politicians and their little fucking ankle biters, all they can bring out their mouth is Democratic. That's the first word out your mouth. But the Democrats. Shut your whole ass up.
To embrace, because the alternative is
okay. Let's.
Oh my lord! Can you stop interrupting?
Can you stop and just let me get away with shamelessly lying? Why won't you just let me get away with smearing and lying and tarnishing? Why don't you just let me do that? This is what we do. This is sort of our thing as Republicans. This is what we're known for. I mean, if we're not allowed to lie, we can't say anything. Yeah, interesting. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that quite an admission right there? I think it is kind of quite an admission.
Go for like 3 seconds. The point is, this is the new mantle bearer. This is why they were thrilled to embrace Graham Plattner, despite the fact that he had a Nazi tattoo. There is no energy apart.
That's what I'm talking about right there, Carp. TDS. It's known as Trump Terrain Syndrome. Now, all these bitches can say is TDS. Like, y'all, one of these days, they're going to study you whack-ass people who don't even have your own mind. You can't even make up your own fucking insult without your little commander and freak. Mr. Tent Stake up the ass.
From these people. And the more conventional Democrats, like Ashok Schumer, are scared to stand up and call out any of these radical extremist policies.
So one thing I will say is Zoran Mamdani did launch his government.
He didn't endorse Graham Plattner.
Run grocery stores.
The reason why she's saying insane stuff like he wants to get rid of all private property and he wants to abolish all prisons, the reason why she's doing that is because she can't actually engage with what this man has actually done. What he's actually done is overseen a massive historic decrease in the crime. What he's actually done is crack down on shitty landlords. What he's actually done is ordered a deep cleaning of the subway. What he's actually done is got Hochul on board for universal childcare, which they're delivering. What he's actually done is frozen the rent for, I believe it's a 2-year period. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think he was able to do it for a 2-year period. What he's actually done is filled a record number of potholes. What he's actually done is taxed the rich. Literally everything I just mentioned there polls at an overwhelming majority of people supporting it and liking it. His approval rating has gone up since he took power. Most politicians, it goes down.
This motherfucker said, how much is the UN or WEF paying you for talking shit about Trump? Bruh, he fucking up so bad, I would do this shit for free. Even though I'm not. But I'm doing it for free as far as my own will. Ain't nobody asking me to do this shit, but YouTube is my channel. It's a fucking, you know what I'm saying? But it's easy to get people to view when you're revealing the truth, or at least trying to fucking combat the bullshit that they putting out here. All this fucking lies and fake news is ridiculous.
With him, it went up. Why? Because he's showing, I will actually fight for you and actually deliver. And when I'm mayor, I actually do have power, and I'm going to use it. I'm not going to do nothing or do the wrong things and then say, like, oh, what did you want me to do? I didn't have the ability to. I tried, but nothing could have been done. He doesn't do that. He actually delivers. And since he's delivering, since people love him, they're panicked, and what they have to do is revert to just lying and smearing and tarnishing and making shit up. And by the way, just understand, this is their playbook going forward. Their playbook is going to be, go to the DSA policy platform, pick the things that poll the lowest among the American people. Hammer away on those things.
This motherfucker said, I bet you want reparations. I bet you your fucking whack ass cars got reparations. I bet you. I ain't even paying no more attention to your bitch ass. I bet you mad. I bet you inferior. I bet you wish you was who the fuck you say you is, but you not. I could go on for days about you.
Even though, mind you, virtually none of the Democratic Socialist candidates who are running are out there specifically running on abolishing all prisons, for example, defunding
everything about you fake.
The police, for example. The thing that Democratic Socialists are running on, if you listen to them and take them at their word, is we want to raise the minimum wage. We want Medicare for all. We want to tax the rich. We want to stop sending all our money to Israel. We want to stop the Iran war, right? So, but this is all they have. All they have are lies and...
But you in my live stream, bitch.
...smears and trying to harp away on the handful of things that don't poll as popular in the...
So who living rent free?
ESA platform. I'm telling you now, prepare yourself. In the same way that they can't run against James Tallarico without pointing out that he doesn't despise trans people, this is what they're going to do with every other Democratic Socialist or Democratic Socialist adjacent candidate, is they're just going to hit him with the, you want to get rid of all prisons, you want to get rid of all private property, and they want us to have that conversation. Always redirect the conversation back to the reality. Point number one, point out they're just lying over and over, as Isaiah Martin did here. And then point number two is harp away on what we're actually doing and what we actually support, which is all the stuff that Zoran is doing, which is fucking incredible. And then add on top of that, of course, Medicare for all,
You're stopping to focus
living wage,
on
et cetera,
him.
et cetera. So, well done there by Isaiah Martin. Well done there by Abby Phillips. But we really don't need to have, like, I'm sorry, we just don't need these people in the room. They shouldn't be in the room. This is, it's totally unacceptable. It's like, you know, they take
in and out your wife. Just like that. Bam, 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 bam. Right in her mouth.
Shit in the punch bowl every day. And we're supposed to act like, yep, that's fine. That's just part of the conversation and debate and discussion. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, it's not. They need to act more civilized and come more correct. And if they don't, they shouldn't be allowed in the conversation. All right, y'all, that's the show, man. I love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor. And
you guys know the drill. Look at y'all president. Wishing that he could be loved, liked, respected, adored, wanted, like this man right here. Look at him. You'll never be on the Esquire. You'll never be on GQ. You'll never be lusted, motherfucker. You would never be lusted. Ever. You's a piece of fucking swine. A fucking, yeah, you see it. A piece of fucking shit. Jabba the Hutt.
subscribe to the channel. You can also click that bell icon, support the show on Patreon.
And you ain't gonna never be this guy. You can only wish that when you walk in the fucking door, people stand to their feet and applause everywhere this motherfucker goes. Everywhere. MAGA. You hate this man right here. You wish the fuck that you bitches could be something like this man. You wish that people respected you like they respect this man. You wish America could be what it was under this man, under your fucking blob. That piece of shit. You motherfuckers wish. But this shit will never be adored, loved, respected. None of that shit. Damn. Look at this fucking jerk off. But what he's doing is trying to figure out how to be something like this motherfucker right here. The man, the myth, the legend, the motherfucker who had your ass going stupid upside your head. Y'all was so mad. Look at that. That's what the fucker president's supposed to look like. Not this. Look at that. Look at that fucking hair. That bullshit. Smash that like button, y'all. Subscribe to this channel if you want to hear MAGA get cooked every motherfucking day. Multiple times a day. You can come over here and hear MAGA get their fucking medicine. MAGA, you're dead? You're dead, MAGA? I know you did.
Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack and go sub to Corin's World, and we'll see you there live on Monday nights. All right, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Peace out, y'all. Love you.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop.
In Conflict of Nations, you can build an army, battle other players, create alliances, and even drop a nuke. Just tap below and download now.
Use the promo code to get the Epic Champion at Kempdom for free.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about it. It seems to be...
Some lady said Barack Obama is handsome as a mizzle fizzle. I ain't never heard no woman say Trump was handsome. Ever. And he don't gotta... You know, the lady said I'm handsome. That's the most unpresidential motherfucking voice you ever heard in your life. Most unpresidential shit you ever heard in your life.
Happening. It appears to be happening that James Tallarico is surging into the lead over Ken Paxton. So this is a big deal, but new poll just came out. Tallarico 45%, Ken Paxton 40%, not sure is 14%. And the net favorables, Tallarico is plus 12, whereas Paxton is minus 13. That's a big difference, y'all. That's a big difference. There was one other poll that had him leading, and when I saw that poll, I was like, that's great, but it's Texas. Always a grain of salt. Always got to be careful with it. But now there's another poll here that Tallarico is leading. And if I remember correctly, Tallarico dropped a little bit in terms of his support. Like, I think he had 47%. Now he dropped to 45%. But Paxton lost even more than Tallarico did. And I think the more this campaign goes on and the more people hear and see who Ken Paxton really is, the more of a chance Tallarico has, because he's got so many skeletons in his closets, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, this guy is bad news, Paxton. And Tallarico is going to continue to highlight that. So here we go. Take a look at this. A massive shift among Latino voters in the Texas Senate race, and that's a big deal. So in May, it was Paxton plus 4. By July now, it's Tallarico plus 40.
We know something like what Trump is behind closed doors because we got accounts from children. Yeah, we got accounts from fucking little kids on the shit he does behind closed doors. Fucking weirdo.
6. What's happening is, and I love this about Tallarico, is he's taken Christianity and flipped it against the Republicans, because Republicans always run on holier than thou stuff, and they act like they're Christians and they love Jesus and they're all about it, and that informs how they govern and the policies they support. But Tallarico's gone out there and he said, well, I'm a Christian and my Christianity tells me we should expand healthcare. I'm a Christian and my Christianity tells me we should be in favor of the SNAP program and get kids getting food. I'm a Christian and my Christianity tells me we should be against the billionaires and want to tax the billionaires and want to end the wars. So he's taken Christianity and really like repurposed it and owned it and said, look, I'm representing the real Christianity. I'm trying to govern like Jesus would if he was around today. And these Republicans are nothing but hypocrites and liars and sadists. And you know what? I'll be damned. It is absolutely positively working in this moment. Again, look, I'll caution everybody. We've been through this before. We've been through this with Allred, although Allred I don't think ever polled as good as Tallarico. We've been through this with Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke nearly defeated Ted Cruz. And there's all this talk about, Texas is eventually going to turn blue. It's eventually going to turn blue, but it keeps getting postponed. Like, it'll be the next cycle and the next cycle and the next cycle. What I'll say is this. If there's a chance of that to happen, this is the election cycle where it would happen. It really is that simple. If there's a chance it's going to happen, it would happen now. Let me also say, by the way, I'm very disappointed in Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, I've always liked Jasmine Crockett because she's been a fighter against Republicans, and I respected that massively, and I think she's a unique talent in how she takes on Republicans. Having said that, the fact that she hasn't endorsed Tallarico yet is wild to me. It's wild to me. We actually have an opportunity here to really give a death blow to MAGA in the sense that they lose Texas. Trump's hand-picked candidate loses Texas. And she's not doing all hands on deck to try to support him. If anything, at this point, she's still somehow undermining him. And by the way, she's on a tour where she's endorsing like all of the most corporate and diet MAGA Democrats in the country. That is incredibly, incredibly disappointing. And it sucks. I mean, hopefully she comes to her senses and she decides, I'm gonna go ahead and ride hard for him because, I don't know. Will it come down to black turnout in Texas? I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see if that's what ends up happening. The black community is overwhelmingly loyal Democratic voters, but the turnout amount matters, and the number of people that get out there to vote matters. And hopefully, everybody will turn out for James Tallarico because there is no race that is where you can see a more clear difference between the candidates than this fucking race right here. Don't even get me started on Ken Paxton's dirty ass history. I mean, when Texas Republicans try to impeach you as a Texas Republican, it's bad. Bro's got like more criminal charges than I can count. He's up there in Trump land with the number of charges he has against bribery, corruption. He can't keep his dick in his pants. He cannot keep his dick in his pants. He's got a new woman he's with seemingly every other week. He's shaking down his own supporters and using that money for personal gain. I mean, the stuff from the stuff from Paxton is insane. And Tallarico's going to highlight that shit. Now, meanwhile, what is Paxton going to do? Well, I'll show you exactly what Paxton is going to do because this is all they fucking have. So prepare yourself. But this is the sort of campaign that
these weirdos here, because they just want to hear what the fuck we think about them and how fucking dumb they are. And for some reason, that gets these dummies a fucking mental boost to hear somebody tell them how fucking dumb they are, which is fucking dumb. So let's just let them be dumb.
They're going to run. Here we go.
James Tallarico is a hypocrite when it comes to fighting for families. Tallarico wants to teach trans ideology in schools and let boys compete in girls' sports. Tallarico says it's immoral to use the oil and gas that employs millions of Texans. Tallarico wants higher taxes and policies that'll raise prices on families. Hypocrite James Tallarico will do anything to push his radical agenda, even if it leaves families broke and jobless.
I'm Ken Paxton, and I approve this message.
Insane. The lies are insane. It is just the amount of bullshit in this head. You've got to be kidding me. Using oil and gas is immoral. He's against that. What does that even mean? What does that mean? Is Tallarico going to vote to like ban gas? Like, what are you talking about? Completely mad. He loves trans people. Disgusting. He loves trans people. What is this? They have nothing. And that's why all you've seen from Trump, all you've seen from these other Republicans is Red Scare McCarthyism. They're rebooting Red Scare McCarthyism, and they're going, communist, they're all communists. They say they're socialists. Actually, they're communists. They're extreme. They're radicals. Meanwhile, a poll just came out. We just discussed it. Voters across this country said by nearly a 10-point margin that the Republican Party is far more extreme than the Democratic Party. So they can try to do it. They're extreme. They're crazy. But it turns out, when people look around and they see that gas prices are over $4 a gallon, when they look around and they see unemployment going up, when they look around and they see their grocery bill has increased by 10% or more, when they look around and they can't afford a steak, when they see 18 million people losing their Medicaid, more people than that just losing their health care, period, people losing their food stamps, they're going to go, you know what? I think you're like fear-mongering here is really not going to land. It's not going to work. So we'll see, bro. Everybody go support James Tallarico's campaign. He's always up there on Act Blue. I think there's a lot of races that might surprise people, bro. I think there are. I think.
Hold on. Somebody says he screwed his followers on university scheme, shoe sales, the Trump Bible, them fucking Bitcoins and the coins that he been selling, insider trading, and BS lies. Is that their best weapon? Ooh, smash that like button, double tap that screen, and subscribe to the channel. You can hear MAGA getting cooked, fricasseed, hot plated, motherfucking deep fried, motherfucking fricasseed, sauteed. They're getting cooked every fucking kind of way you can get cooked right here on the channel. Appreciate y'all.
Iowa is in play in a way that people never would have thought previously. I really think they're in play. I think Kentucky potentially is in play. Go support Charles Booker. There's a lot. Maine, of course, with Troy Jackson. The list goes on, but it can happen. It can happen. And now to have multiple polls in a row that have Tallarico leading Paxton, here's the thing I fear the most, though. And you all know this. What I fear the most is what they're going to do if/when Tallarico wins. Because Texas Republicans are flat out evil, bro. I mean, they are they're the type of people. They did the Death Star law. They made it so like, if you're a locality in Texas and you want to raise the minimum wage, they ban you from doing that. They banned extreme heat work breaks. Okay? These people they're sadistic. Ken Paxton bragged on camera to Steve Bannon after the 2020 election saying, I got 2.5 million ballots for Joe Biden thrown out. I got 2.5 million mail-in ballots thrown out that Biden won by a significant margin. And if it wasn't for me, Biden would have won Texas. This is what he's bragging about stealing the election. So even if we win, we're not out of the woods because of what these people are liable to do, bro. That's what you need to understand. Trump has unleashed a beast on this country. And that beast is rank authoritarianism that really doesn't give a fuck about democratic elections. So prepare yourselves, bro. But as of right now, there are some signs, y'all. There are some signs we're seeing here.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Fox and Friends is supposed to be one of the friendliest shows to Donald Trump. And despite being a completely friendly, lay down and walk all over me like a doormat show, Donald Trump called in and still managed to leave the hosts looking completely confused, uncomfortable, and at some points they even looked stunned by the things that Donald Trump was saying. The interview contained everything. It contained imaginary wars that Donald Trump claims to have stopped, one of his favorites, threats to destroy civilian infrastructure for no real military reason, a war crime, incoherent answers about Iran, and the same false explanation about tariffs that he has repeated for years. Let's go through it. Trump saying he stopped 8 wars and this is another wrinkle he's added. He says that his blanket tariffs, which of course have been economically devastating to the average American, he says that the tariffs ended 5 wars. Take a look at this.
No, the tariffs have, I mean, it's a shame that I have to go a harder way for the tariffs because the Supreme Court, in a very close decision, ruled against me. Now, I have other ways of doing the same thing, but it's a more cumbersome way of doing it. But the tariffs have made this country a fortune. It made the country rich, and I stopped 8 wars. I would say 5 of them because of tariffs. The threat of tariffs stopped India and Pakistan from going into a nuclear war. The threat of tariffs stopped numerous other countries from going to war. These tariffs, it's the greatest thing, and only the really smart people or the people that are non-political and that get it talk about it. The Democrats know how good it's been.
This is so preposterous. I sort of struggle to believe Trump even believes it. He declares that he stopped 8 wars. He gives no evidence, and then he says that thanks to his tariffs, 5 wars have been prevented, which sort of counts like ending a war in Donald Trump's bizarre mind. It sounds like we got world peace, except nobody noticed other than Donald Trump. Now, India and Pakistan did have a dangerous military confrontation. That's true. And Trump has repeatedly said that his threat to end trade ended that conflict. India completely rejects that, and there's no evidence that that's actually true. What Trump, you have to hand it to him. He's sort of skilled at taking any complicated international development or event, removing every other government, every other diplomat, every other factor, and placing the entire center of the story on Trump showed up and he saved everybody. He was the only one who could do it, and he did do it. And everybody, have you said thank you to Trump for doing that? The topic of the Iran nuclear deal came up. And Donald Trump said, the Obama deal was horrible. It was a dumbass deal. And had I not come in and ended that deal, Israel would not exist. A claim I struggle to believe, but let's listen to him make it anyway.
With the B-2, and I stopped it also when I terminated that horrible deal made by Obama.
John Patrick, what the hell are you talking about? Let me read this bullshit. Show me another country in the world that has done better than the United States under capitalism. Well, they ain't doing fucking good now. How good is America doing right motherfucking now? How good are they doing in this war? How good are these motherfuckers doing when all your allies walked away from your ass? You about dumb as shit. You just seen every country in the fucking world turn their back on a country you said is doing better under capitalism. How the fuck you doing good when all motherfuckers do is steal? All you do is borrow and don't pay motherfuckers back. That ain't good business. That ain't good for the fucking country. It's just a bunch of stealing. That's all the fuck it is. The fuck are you talking about?
The Iran nuclear deal. It was the worst, dumbest deal. It was a road to a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you wouldn't have Israel around.
You see how this dumb motherfucker just keep lying? It's a road to a nuclear weapon. They had a fatwa in place so that they didn't have nuclear weapons. But guess what they got now? Enriched uranium, close the motherfucking strait, getting paid extra money off the strait, already made $25 billion off his dumb ass, and he spent $500 billion to do that. You look at it.
They call it the Iran nuclear deal. It was the worst, dumbest deal. It was a road to a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you wouldn't have Israel around. Frankly, if I weren't president of the United States, Israel today would not exist.
So the claim is Israel, with one of the most powerful militaries in the world, would not exist
Who gives a fuck?
were Donald Trump not president. Now, there are Republican types who love to make this argument. Before Barack Obama became president, there were Republicans saying it is very dangerous to Israel for a Democrat to win. And of course, Israel was fine for the 8 years of Obama's presidency. And then as Donald Trump was campaigning for re-election in 2020, which he ultimately lost to Joe Biden, you heard the same type of stuff. And somehow Israel managed to survive the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. And by the way, notice the contradiction, because Trump brags about terminating the Iran nuclear deal.
Hold on.
Iran then...
First of all, weird TX. Fuck you. Who the fuck you think you is coming in this bitch? And John Patrick. Suck a dick. Liberal this and liberal that. Bitch, you don't know nothing about nobody in here. You coming in here assuming because you bald. I mean, I say that. Because you weird-ass motherfuckers wish you knew what the fuck we was thinking. But I can tell you this, motherfuckers. We got our shit together over here. Y'all just mad because we telling y'all the truth about y'all weak asses. And we gonna continue to tell y'all weak motherfuckers exactly what you are and where you're going. Nowhere.
Expands its nuclear program, the region descends into a catastrophic war, and Trump goes, I saved everybody. You created this damn crisis, and the best that Trump could even possibly do at this point is to get back into a deal with Iran that is like the Obama deal, except weaker. So Brian Kilmeade asks Trump essentially the simplest imaginable follow-up question.
I'll tell you why nobody want to talk about that shit, John Patrick. Because you a motherfucking liar. You're a fucking liar. That's why. Ain't nobody doing more fucking terror than the United States, you fucking nitwit. Shut the fuck up.
Which is, Iran said you're not even talking to them. You say you're close to a deal again. Excuse me. You say you're close to a deal again. Iran's like, we're not even talking. Can you tell us who you're talking to? And Trump's like, no, not really.
War in Iran. I know you're going to be talking about that.
I'm glad you said that, dummy. Now let me show you this. We're going to push pause on this video for a second so we can show this nitwit. Where's that goddamn? Where them numbers at? We're going to put up the numbers of Barack Obama and Trump at the same time, right next to each other. And you tell me who the fuck did better and who did worse. Since you so fucking smart. Where the hell is it? Boom. All right, since you so smart, who did better? Yeah, you said Barack Obama gave them 1 point such and such billion. How many billion did Trump give them, genius? Huh? Can you tell me that? Barack Obama gave them 1.7 billion. Trump gave their ass 25 billion. Nobody got hurt or injured in 2015 with Barack Obama with the JCPO. And look over here. At least 20 dead and 500 injured or wounded. How much did it cost Obama to do it? It didn't cost him shit. It was free. And it cost Trump 500 fucking billion on that dumbass war he just fought that didn't do nothing because ain't shit changed. And everything that was going on before the war is going on after the motherfucking war. And you didn't change shit. That's y'all strong president. You know what Trump is? A weak man's idea of a strong man. That's what the fuck Trump is. A weak man's idea of a strong man. But that motherfucker ain't strong at all. Yeah, what the fuck ever. We don't have no proof of that. Only people we got saying that shit is some lying-ass Republicans. Or MAGA. I ain't gonna be like y'all. I'm gonna say MAGA. You motherfuckers is weird. The fuck out of here.
Today with the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and we hear that you're talking right now with leaders on Iran, but Iran has come out publicly.
So who was that talking about the $1.7 billion that Obama gave? In the chat right now, make yourself known. I want to see how fucking smart you are. Can you count or not? Come on, MAGA. Who the fuck is Longbomb? I ain't seen nobody with that name. What up, Longbomb? What it do? Mackenzie said, the world is, in fact, less safe from Iran than we have ever been. Yeah, with all this bullshit, leave them people the fuck alone. Double tap that screen, y'all. Smash that like button. I see them subscribers going up. We almost at 600. Keep pushing.
And say, we're not talking to the U.S. We're going to pause
just
as
came
long
out
as they're
and said
paused.
we are talking a little while ago because.
So could you tell me who you're talking to, Mr. President?
For some reason, we can be in the midst of a beautiful discussion, and they'll come out and say, we're not talking, or we didn't discuss nuclear. Well, that's all we discussed because they'll never have a nuclear weapon. They understand that. And we have had some very good talks, and very interesting with Lindsey. He was very much a hawk, as you would say, on Iran. And over the last few weeks, I would say that he became like, if you could make a deal, it's better making a deal in this case than just destroying the rest of the country. We've destroyed most of it, frankly. But he was somebody that said it's a good time to make a deal, nice time to make a deal.
What does a good deal look like?
Now, I wouldn't say necessarily he feels that way about Ukraine. He's very militant about. I mean,
Mila Pool, correct. It was their money that Obama freed up that we had tied up.
He liked war, to be.
Trump just gave their ass $25 billion. And how dumb are y'all to keep talking about $1.7 billion when Trump gave him 25? Do I need to remind you stupid motherfuckers of that? And he spent $500 billion to do it? Don't tell me y'all this fucking dumb.
Honest with you, okay? You know, I said, you're a nice guy. How come you like war so much? He was a guy that liked war. I jokingly...
This should be very easy. You know, Trump says talks are occurring. He's asked who's involved. And Trump just repeats that it's all going very well. It's very good. That is not an answer. Now, Donald Trump doesn't need to reveal a single classified detail. He could just say, we have American intermediaries speaking with Iranian representatives. Negotiations are happening through Oman. They're happening through some third party. I can't identify the participants because the conversations are very sensitive, but sort of like, here are the generic types of players. He can't even process the follow-up question, and Trump doesn't want follow-up questions. Understand that. And even the Fox hosts aren't sure, where do I go? Because Trump is giving them nothing, and it's obvious that he's just making it up. Then Trump waxes poetic about committing war crimes. I could take out every single one of their bridges in an hour. I could get rid of all of their power plants in a day. It's almost like, you know, sometimes these serial killers get sexual gratification from the kill. Trump seems to get titillated, almost aroused from the idea of, you know what I could do with the power I have?
If they don't make a deal, then I go back and I finish the job. But that's going to take them forever to rebuild. Already, it'll take them many years to ever to rebuild. And if I go back and finish up the job, as some people would like, with the bridges, with the very easy, I could take out most of their bridges in less than an hour. Less than an hour. But, you know, it takes them 10 years to build a bridge. Bridges take the longest, and power plants are second. I can knock out the power plants. Within one day, all of their power plants would be gone. And I let them know that. You know, with negotiations, they said, look, people want me to do that. I think I get almost the same thing out of it as doing it. But the problem is they'll never be able to, you know, I think about 91 million people without power, without bridges, would have to live. And it's a very, very delicate balance. Yeah. So I think we have a very strong position right now. They know I'm going to do that if they don't make a deal. The bridges are going to be gone. Literally in less than, I would say in 2 hours, most of the bridges, the major bridges will all be gone. And the power plants in one day. And, you know, if I can avoid doing that, I'd like to do that. The hardest thing to build is a power plant. The longest thing to build is a bridge. Takes a long time to rebuild and build bridges. And that's what I used to do for a living, construction. It takes years to build these things. And, you know, and knock them out in 1 hour, and it takes many years. It really decimates a country. So those are the two big things. And then there's always the desalinization plants. And who am I hurting there? I'm hurting the people.
He talks about destroying bridges and power plants like it's beating the final boss in a video game. We've talked very seriously about how attacks on infrastructure aren't automatically war crimes. If the infrastructure has a legitimate military function, you can go after it and it's not a war crime. But Trump is fantasizing. It's a wet dream of indiscriminate attacks on civilian infrastructure, destroying power plants that can shut down hospitals and water systems, or refrigeration, causing food supply to spoil. He has zero recognition that millions of people depend upon this infrastructure. And he's just casually like, you should see what I could do in an hour. You should see what I could do. The topic of tariffs came up. Aren't you worried that the tariffs could hurt the economy? And Trump trots out what is either the biggest lie or the biggest misunderstanding about how tariffs work.
President, with the economy, that's going to be your focus. That was your focus yesterday in the midterms in Michigan. Are you worried that the tariffs that you put forward over the last couple of days will hurt the economy as they adjust in bringing manufacturing home?
No, because it's bringing hundreds of billions of dollars. I was at General Motors yesterday. They have the best year. They have the most trucks, the most cars. The tariffs have saved General Motors. What I've done to the auto business, what I've done to the chip business, we have chip.
Who does Trump believe is paying the tariffs? Tariffs are collected by American importers. Those from American importers. If you import something from China and there's a tariff, you still just pay China for the stuff, and then you pay the American Treasury the tariff. The taxpayer then pays about 80% of that tariff back to the importer. That's how it works. And this is the simplest fact about how tariffs work. And it has been years of this crap. Now, I still don't know. Does Trump genuinely not understand how tariffs work? Or does he understand it, but he assumes his followers are too stupid?
Y'all see, as soon as I put them facts up there, all that shit they were talking about Obama, when I put these facts up here, y'all see how many people ran about this motherfucker? They don't like facts. When MAGA hear facts, the motherfuckers stop processing. Once they hear facts, they already moving on to what the fuck else they can lie about. Facts, motherfuckers.
But to get it.
Not your feelings. Fuck your feelings.
So he keeps lying and going, we're getting so rich off of all these countries paying the tariffs. You're collecting the money from Americans, and it's part of why everything is so expensive. But then Trump went to Lindsey Graham's funeral. Oh boy. Thanks for watching. Check out another one of our videos and make sure to subscribe so YouTube keeps our content in your feed And if you prefer audio, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple.
Smash that like button, y'all.
Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
And that is how Dr. Anthony Fauci's congressional appearance went today. I don't blame him. In fact, it was probably one of the best strategic legal moves that Dr. Fauci could make, considering what Fauci accurately describes as an obsession on the part of Senator Rand Paul. Paul has some type of personal vendetta against Dr. Fauci. And before anybody freaks out about the idea that the invocation of the Fifth Amendment is some indicia of guilt, let's be clear. It's context. Depends on the situation. But no matter what context or situation it is, it's a constitutionally guaranteed right to be able to invoke your Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. I want to underscore what I just said with the following. Although I don't agree with people like convicted felon Donald Trump invoking his Fifth Amendment right and others to be able to avoid and evade answering questions, the context is wrong within which Trump has done so. But legally speaking, Trump always had the right to do it. And no, legally speaking, the invocation of the Fifth Amendment does not make you, quote, look guilty. Remember, folks, it's the context. And if I were the lawyer for Dr. Fauci, I would have told him to do the same damn thing today. Because Rand Paul has made it clear that in the pursuit of his personal vendetta, he was looking for the chance to be able to, quote, catch Dr. Fauci in some type of lie, misrepresentation, or false statement to Congress. Now, let's be clear as well. Former President Joe Biden issued a pardon on his very last day in office to Dr. Fauci. And let's get into the specifics of that because it's important as you consider what we're talking about today. In his final hours in office, Biden granted a wave of what we call preemptive pardons. Dr. Fauci had not been accused of a crime, indicted, charged with a crime, but President Biden at the time smartly anticipated, based upon statements, conduct, and remarks that had been made publicly and probably privately about folks like Dr. Fauci, that preemptive pardon needed to be done. Dr. Anthony Fauci was the top infectious disease expert for 38 years under presidents ranging from Ronald Reagan to Joe Biden. And he was repeatedly targeted by Trump's lackeys, including somebody like Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon said that Dr. Fauci, General Milley, and others should be prosecuted. On election night, Bannon said, quote, "You deserve what we call a rough Roman justice, and we're prepared to give it to you." And when we're talking about Steve Bannon and this idea of, quote, rough Roman justice, consider the following. Previously on a live streaming broadcast, Steve Bannon said that political opponents, media organizations, and government institutions don't deserve any respect or empathy, and that they deserve any pity. You deserve what we call rough Roman justice, and we're prepared to give it to you. In other words, Steve Bannon was calling for exactly what Dr. Fauci was trying to prevent today when he invoked his Fifth Amendment right. This idea of street justice with no adherence to the rule of law, its norms, and institutions. And that is not what a democracy is, and it's certainly not what it's supposed to be. So this setup of hauling Dr. Fauci before Congress to try to trap him in a lie?
Yesterday, I played a game for 5 minutes and somehow watched 5 ads. So today, I just want one thing.
Look, if I'm Dr. Fauci, I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right as well. And I don't take reassurances from people like Rand Paul, Josh Hawley, Katie Britt, and others that, oh, well, if he would just tell the truth, then he wouldn't get into trouble. We all know that that's bullshit. You want to know what Exhibit A is for that concept? How about former special counsel Jack Smith? Congressman Jim Jordan has now made a referral to the Trump Department of Justice for them to prosecute former special counsel Jack Smith, alleging that he made, quote, false statements during his deposition testimony to House Judiciary in December of 2025. If there is anybody, including Dr. Fauci, but if there's anybody like Jack Smith who is above reproach, it's this man, right? And the idea that Jack Smith appears and gives sworn truthful testimony is now subjected to this criminal referral to the DOJ is exactly the reason why Dr. Fauci said, hell no, I'm not setting myself up to fail. Why would I ever willingly put myself into a trap? And again, I have to say this, there is an absolute right to be able to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Now, how did Rand Paul react? Well, of course, he, predictably lost his shit. So Rand Paul now says that he's going to call for a vote to hold Dr. Fauci in contempt of Congress and that the committee would vote on that issue coming up next week. But the reporting makes it clear that the decision to invoke the Fifth was one that was done by his legal team, his team for Dr. Fauci. And the pardon that was given by former President Joe Biden to Dr. Fauci was actually a factor into why Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination over 100 times today when he appeared in front of Congress. The legal team for Dr. Fauci determined that Republicans had consistently implied that preemptive pardon that was given by Biden to Fauci would not apply to any new statements that were made. And I have to agree with them. And let me tell you why. So the pardon that was given by Biden was for conduct by Fauci up to a date certain, January 20th of 2025. Subsequent conduct, statements, etc., after that date would not be protected by the pardon. So, for example, if Dr. Fauci is testifying in front of Congress and he answers about things that he did while he was serving in his infectious disease expert role, if he were to, because that's what they look for, right? If he was to make a misstatement and a small one, maybe, even though it really shouldn't be the case, it should be material misstatements, right? But even if you were to do that, you can imagine that Republicans would seize on that as an opportunity to want to prosecute Fauci for an alleged misstatement or false statement to Congress. The underlying conduct about which Fauci would be testifying about would be protected by the pardon. But the sworn statements provided to Congress post January 20th, 2025 would not. It's a little nuanced, but it makes sense. And that's the reason why Fauci's legal team said, invoke your Fifth Amendment privilege. Each question asked by a Republican senator, including Josh Hawley, who thought it would be cute, by asking Dr. Fauci, what is the color of my tie and the color of the carpeting, was met with Fauci invoking his Fifth Amendment right. And it got even more ridiculous because while Rand Paul and Josh Hawley were gunning to go after Fauci during this hearing, Fauci's lawyer, who was sitting next to him at the table, David Schertler, had to be physically removed from chambers, from congressional chambers, from the committee room by security because Rand Paul got his panties in a bunch about the lawyer wanting to put on the record that Dr. Fauci was appropriately and legally invoking the Fifth Amendment. But Rand Paul didn't want that to be a part of the congressional record. God forbid. So They had to physically remove Schertler after this exchange. Take a listen.
Would you behave this way in a courtroom? No, because the judge would put you in jail. I can't do that today, but I can have you escorted from the premises. So I would say, sir, sit quietly and don't say another word. I said, sit quietly, you are not recognized. Another word and you're gone.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what the attorney has to say.
He is not recognized by the committee or the chair. If he speaks again, he will be removed from the room. This testimony is from Anthony Fauci. This is not a game with his lawyers. He can advise, his lawyers can give him advice. He's got a half dozen here. They're all allowed to talk to him.
Yes.
All right? Yeah. But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered. For a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
Discover why Cozy is the
That's
number
what I
one
do
family
to a lot of
organizer
y'all
app.
MAGAs.
If you pick Yemen to take over the world, I mean, seriously, what are you thinking? Just look at how small it is, and whoever plays is.
And here are some of the statements that came from David Schertler, Dr. Fauci's lawyer, about this. Dr. Fauci appeared at least a dozen times for congressional hearings in the Senate alone during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. Why? To answer questions about the issues that were being posed by Rand Paul and others today. Fauci has been thoroughly transparent and consistent in providing factual information to Congress. This year's long public crusade against Dr. Fauci makes one thing clear. This is not a serious effort to seek information from Dr. Fauci in a transcribed interview for a valid legislative purpose. You are single-mindedly fixated on seeing Dr. Fauci prosecuted for imaginary crimes, and you are so invested in that outcome that you have created a personal brand around it. So, his lawyer telling NBC News that not only does Dr. Fauci have a valid Fifth Amendment privilege, but he has the right to assert it, which I have told you as well. Schertler also saying that's what I was trying to tell the committee, and that's all I was trying to tell the committee. So Rand Paul wouldn't even let Dr. Fauci's lawyer have access to the record to be able to lay the foundation, in addition to what had already been said by Dr. Fauci, as to why the Fifth Amendment was being invoked. That is a perversion of the process, and that also is a true tell about the bad faith surrounding having Fauci appear in the first instance to have to testify anyway. You all know I'm a big fan of Senator Richard Blumenthal. Let me read to you what he told reporters ahead of his timing for questioning of Dr. Fauci today. He said he would not even ask Dr. Fauci any questions because the, quote, show trial that was taking place is a perjury craft for criminal prosecution going forward. During the hearing, instead of questioning Dr. Fauci, Senator Blumenthal actually defended him, comparing what was happening with the Republicans to the McCarthy hearings of the 1950s. Senator Blumenthal saying, we should not be a part of a rerun of that kind of effort. This attempt to rebrand one of the most challenging times in our nation's history is a short-sighted act of desperation that will leave us less prepared for the next pandemic. Never a truer word was said, because the navigation of the COVID pandemic, and you know what's interesting is sometimes I struggle to even talk about it in the past tense because we're not really done with COVID, are we? But I think back to that time, and I think back to how hard things were to even understand the nature of what was going on. And I think about how much death and pain was caused at the hands of Donald Trump, not Dr. Anthony Fauci. I think about all of the absurdity and the stupidity and the craziness and the lack of medical science and evidence that Trump was promoting and was peddling at a time when all we wanted to do was just survive. At a time when there was so much uncertainty, what we needed was the steady guiding hand of somebody like Dr. Anthony Fauci, with his wisdom, his experience, and his training and his education. Dr. Anthony Fauci should be rewarded and given a medal for having to navigate that time with Trump. Instead, how does he get rewarded? Well, Rand Paul releases his personal diary entries in an unredacted form. And I will bet my bottom dollar this, that Rand Paul and Josh Hawley and several of the members of the Republican committee that were going after Fauci today,
Dr. Fauci did a lot of bullshit too, though, Katie Fang.
they were doing so at the behest of convicted felon Donald Trump. And the reason why I say that is the following. As we've seen in some of the diary entries from Dr. Fauci was getting acclaim, applause, approval, and love from people that wanted him to know how they felt. And that stands in stark contrast to the hatred, the derision, the criticism, and the opposition that convicted felon Donald Trump has received and continues to receive because he is Donald Trump. And he's earned it. He's earned the hatred and the derision. But for somebody like Trump, who wants to be in the spotlight all the time and wants to be the marquee name for everything, to have somebody like Dr. Fauci bump him out of that space, out of that pole position of attention, has to suck for Donald Trump. And so Trump is obviously loving what is happening here. But what we need to do is we need to continue to show our support for Dr. Fauci, because somebody like Rand Paul, who is obsessively focused on achieving this personal vendetta that he has against Dr. Fauci, well, somebody like that needs to be stopped. And one of the ways to stop that is to show your approval for Dr. Fauci. So I invite you to be vocal and to be active on social media and to let the world know that we stand in support of Dr. Fauci and against this, this show trial, as Senator Blumenthal called it, to be able to set up Dr. Fauci for a potential perjury prosecution or a false statements to Congress prosecution. That is the goal here. It is amazing the obsession by Republicans about stuff that happened years ago. And especially during a time that was, I don't know, the first Trump administration. If Trump was doing such a bang up fucking job in Trump term 1.0, why are we going back to investigate what is perceived to be failures, but Trump is trying to punt those failures and blame them on somebody else? Trump will never take responsibility for his contributions to the deaths and the horrific situation that we had with COVID, because it happened on his watch. His watch. Trump's watch. We will obviously continue to watch very carefully what Rand Paul does in trying to hold Dr. Fauci in contempt. We will report on it, but in the meantime, be mad, be outraged, demand accountability. Accountability from people, not Dr. Fauci, but from senators like Rand Paul and Josh Hawley, Katie Britt, and others, and continue to demand accountability from felon Trump for his complicity in making the COVID
I remember one time they were saying Dr. Fauci for president.
Pandemic worse for all of us. I'm off to rattle more cages. Katie Fang here. We launched the Katie Fang News Channel in partnership with the Midas Touch Network so we could bring you the latest in legal and political news. Straight, no chaser. So if you're a fellow truth teller, hit that subscribe button and share the word about this channel so we can build a high... And I will bet my bottom dollar this, that Rand Paul and Josh Hawley and several of the members of the Republican committee that were going after Fauci today, they were doing so at the behest of convicted felon Donald Trump. And the reason why I say that is the following. As we've seen in some of the diary entries from Dr. Fauci was getting acclaim, applause, approval, and love from people.
Want to get this damage machine for free? Use the code NEMESIS to claim the epic Akemtum.
Some major breaking news here ahead of Todd Blanche's scheduled confirmation hearing. According to the Senate Judiciary Committee, tomorrow's hearing for Blanche to become permanent Attorney General has now been postponed. And let's be clear, this was absolutely predictable. Take a listen to what John Cornyn had to say today here.
We expected some written proposals to modify the release that was signed in the tax dispute with President Trump and his organization. It's clear President Trump was wronged. Obviously, the guy who leaked the information is now in prison for violating the law. But the scope of the release is really the problem. And as you heard during the hearing, I asked him, for example, said, is this intended to release people who are not parties to this lawsuit? He said, no. I said, well, the audit protection of future audits, is this intended to apply to anyone other than the parties to the lawsuit? And is it retroactive? He said, yes. It's not designed to provide prospective immunity from tax audits. And then third, I said, is this intended to apply to anyone other than the defendants in the lawsuit, which are the IRS and the Treasury, and not other federal agencies? And he said yes. To me, it's pretty simple. They could state that in a modified release form, and that would be responsive to my request. But for some reason, I don't know whether it's the staff of the DOJ or who it is, but they simply, they know what they need to do, but they simply refuse to do it.
So are you a no? Are you a no tomorrow if this comes to a vote?
Well, Senator Grassley tells me that we need to know by 4 o'clock this afternoon whether the markup is still on. So we still got a little time, and hopefully they now recognize the seriousness of this and will be responsive.
But if it stands as it is now, if it stands as it stands as it is now, right now, would you vote no?
I'm not prepared to vote yes. Let me put it that way.
So we looked at the statement from DOJ. They said that they had sent you this request, this proposal.
It was not responsive.
And what do you mean by that? It was not responsive.
I mean, it did not cover the audit issue or the scope of the release issue. That's what I mean.
Why do you think they're not getting a message from you?
Maybe they think they can roll me.
Can they roll you?
No.
At this moment right now, it's about an hour and a half until 4 p.m. You're currently in
I think Senator Grassley's telling me that we got to know by 5 o'clock whether the
4 o'clock.
5 or 4.
Get more crypto for your cash and get started with as little as $1.
How to mirror iPhone to TV.
Stop scrolling! I'm about to show you something better than AirPlay.
A smart mirroring app perfectly compatible with apps and streaming platforms.
Breaking, MAGA flipped on Trump. It happened again. First it was, who was it? Candace Owens. Then it was, of course, it was Tucker Carlson. I'm not going to be a Republican anymore. Bitch, you will always be a Republican. Fuck you forever. And fuck Candace Owens forever. And then fuck, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene forever, ever. But now, one of their biggest supporters have turned, and of course they turned for the money, because that's what it comes down to. MAGA ain't happy, and they're going to appease their crowd by saying anti-Trump things, and they're not about Trump because they're trying to save their base and their money and their audience. An influencer who's basically gotten in the biggest trouble ever. His whole platform got shut down and sued and destroyed by Dominion machines, by by a couple of people who sued him for defamation and took him out. I'm talking about the mighty Alex Jones. Alex Jones came out and said, what's Alex Cross? I always mess it up. I think it's Alex Jones. Anyway, the whole thing is, he has totally walked right into that shit. And he just basically said, everyone, Donald Trump should be impeached. We got to impeach Donald Trump. And the 25th Amendment should be something that should be invoked with Donald Trump. And my celebration of it is this. The more you pull millions of people away from this midterm, and the more we show up in November, the better the outcome is for us. Fuck them. This ain't about news. This is about context. What does it mean to us? Fuck them forever, because they're trying to kill us. So here's the thing. I think that given the influences are walking away, they are peeling off the base. What we have to do is spread word on any way we can to peel off the base with them. That's what I mean by bleed out. Because I don't want Trump to die, even though I think he may die by Saturday. But if he doesn't, I'm glad to be wrong. I am willing to be wrong because I don't want that man to die. I want him to stay around, and because the more he stays around, the more he pulls himself, the administration, and this party down. Yeah. Everybody say, yeah. And here's the thing we got to understand. This is going to be an ongoing fight. And
we ran them off, Kenzie.
An ugly one. And what we have to really begin to grasp onto is that everything coming out of their mouth is going to be just a crap sandwich. It's going to be a crap sandwich. He's doing everything he can. He is begging the Supreme Court to say, ooh, please, let me just end mail-in voting so I can win. And the Supreme Court is like, I just don't see them G'ing for that. No more than they G for the E. Jean Carroll case. I think that's going to be a hot mess all across the board. Fuck him forever. But here's the thing. Let them ride it out. Let them spend that time into that. The more they spend time into that, the less time they're spending trying to attack us. Let them just fall into that wild goose chase of foolishness. They have ruined the reputation of the DOJ and just thrown it right into the mud. They keep arguing back and forth over this. This has repeatedly been a hot mess. And I think the biggest thing that we can begin to look forward to is not only November 3rd, but the way in which everything constructually deconstructs itself in front of the GOP, in front of the Congress. The Congress is already calling him lame duck. They don't want to deal with him. And he can't pass the SAVE Act. What a surprise. Did you hear about that? They can't pass the SAVE Act. SAVE Act's not coming. It's not happening. But I told you that for months. If they were going to pass something, they would have been passed it. You know why they're not passing the SAVE Act? Not to resist Trump, but they know the SAVE Act won't save their act. If they fuck this up, they're going to catch all sorts of hell. It is not going to fare thee well. I promise you. So we're in a situation right now where we are fighting. We are fighting. But the good news is we're winning. We are. It doesn't feel like it, but we're winning. He didn't win. He's not winning now. He's on the list. The list is coming out. If he lives past Saturday, lives so long, he's going to jail and he's going to have company. Remember that. Also remember this, as you hear all this stuff, there's a framework to dealing with this man, a framework. And the framework works like this: decoding Trump. He lies, manipulates, and projects authority he doesn't have. LMP. And he does that so you don't look at ESGN. What's ESGN? Put that in the comments. ESGN stands for Epstein's subsidies, which 4 million Americans don't have. Tens of thousands could be dying from. Okay? Gerrymandering and no kings. All right? And then what we're looking at from all of that is a ongoing game, mind game that's going on, that if he can mind fuck you into believing that he's winning and something's happening,
and he ain't winning shit.
He's not. And what I'm trying to tell all of you so many times over and over again is that he didn't win, he's not winning now, and he's on that list, and that list is coming out. The survivors today went through Congress, and that's why Tom Tillis, whatever, that's why he's talking about, well, I don't know if I'm voting for Todd Blanche. You don't have my vote right now, which is great, because they went with the Epstein's list and gave it out to Republican governors. Even though they didn't want to read it, it had some effect, because now Todd Blanche is in trouble. He can't get this stuff through with the confirmation. Now, I hope he gets confirmed, because it's going to put him and Trump in even more water. But let's say it doesn't happen. Let's say it doesn't happen. It was because of those survivors who went down there to the Hill and gave out those documents and said, listen, help, something's wrong. We got a problem. And I respect what they did. That was a gangster move to show up like they did. They're fighting. The survivors, they are fighting, and more power to them. I think eventually we're going to see this list come out. It's going to bring Trump down. The corruption is going to bring Trump down. And yes, Vance is going to pardon him. But again, I have to bring up something that I'm the only one that talks about. States' rights, bitch. States' rights. See, Letitia James is in prime position to go after Trump when he gets out of presidency. No more immunity when you're not president. No more immunity. And here's the other thing. He's primed to be a target by the states over the corruption that has cost states money. And the states don't fuck around about coming after you over that money. Remember, this ain't America. These are the United States of America. That's the thing you need to remember. Now make sure you binge watch my content and subscribe to my channel. We're almost at 100,000. We're almost there, y'all.
I'm talking Iraq, Afghanistan, Israel, you know, all the others too. The problem is you're right at the intersection of so many important places.
Okay, tonight, Donald Trump is in a full freaking spiral, even by his standards. Because the United States is conducting a new round of airstrikes in Iran as Donald Trump plunges the country deeper into a war he has no idea how to get out of. A key vote planned for tomorrow on Trump's nominee for Attorney General has been officially postponed because Republican senators haven't been properly assured that his slush fund is dead for good. And Trump is now openly feuding with the Senate Majority Leader, who just clapped back at Trump for using a, quote, different form of math. I love that kind of trolling. It's amazing. On the votes, of course, required to pass his voter suppression bill that he is completely obsessed with. Now, Donald Trump is once again losing control of key Republicans in Congress. Clearly, he is once again losing control of his war of choice with Iran. And it's all happening at the same time that he is losing control of his base. I mean, do you remember 10 years ago when Trump started to win the first Republican primaries? There was one group of voters he decided to acknowledge in the most insulting way possible.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
He loves the poorly educated. The man has such a way with words. Now, what I think Trump was trying to brag about there was his performance with voters who did not have a college degree. And despite the pejorative way he chose to describe them, those voters would end up being key to his electoral victories going forward for quite some time, especially non-college educated white voters. I mean, Trump really overperformed with them. In 2016, he won 66% of non-college educated white voters. In 2020, he won 67% of them. And in 2024, he won 66% of them. Non-college educated white voters have always been a key part of Trump's voting constituency. That's probably why everybody's so obsessed about talking about this voting bloc all the time. Which is why the latest polling on Trump's approval rating should be freaking people out over at the White House. Because according to a new CNN poll just released today, Trump is underwater with white voters without a college degree. And for the first time ever, that deficit is outside the margin of error. That is a huge freaking deal. Democrats haven't won a majority of white voters without a college degree since Jimmy Carter in 1976. And now Trump is losing that key demographic by 8 points. It is part of the reason Trump's overall disapproval rating in that poll is at 66%, the worst disapproval rating he's ever received in that poll across both of his terms. And there's one particular question in this poll that I think goes a very long way toward explaining why Trump is so unpopular right now. Does Donald Trump have the right priorities for this country? And as you can see on your screen there, only 27% of Americans think Trump's priorities are right. Well, a full 73% of Americans think Trump does not have the right priorities, that he hasn't paid attention to the country's most important problems. He's a whopping 46 points underwater on this issue. And it doesn't exactly take a seasoned political mind or strategist to figure out why. I mean, just consider what the man has prioritized since becoming president. There's his hyper-focus on various D.C. construction projects, from his ballroom to his arch to the reflection pool. I mean, it seems like every day we get a new one of these weird-looking projects, often in various shades of gold, that he's rolling out, that he's super focused.
Yeah, Kenzie, that's one thing I noticed. You got really ass in slow, and then hook up straight through their motherfucking head. because they ain't gonna let you warm up. They're gonna leave way before that.
Focused and obsessed about. And just today, Trump unveiled another one, the renovation of Washington Dulles International Airport, which he has apparently been focusing on for months. And according to CBS News, hefty tabletop models were taken back and forth to the White House multiple times for the president's perusal, and his edits to plans for the terminal transport buses, parking lot location, baggage handling system, underground trains, and general airport aesthetic. He's really in the weeds on this one. In other words, Trump has spent the last several months taking time out of his day as president to micromanage an airport renovation. And that's, it's hardly the only ridiculous Trump priority we've learned about in the past week. Today, we learned that Trump is seeking another $10 million of taxpayer money to pay for his bungled Freedom 250 4th of July celebration. That news comes as he is preparing to host another Freedom 250 event next month, a Grand Prix track race around the National Mall, just what struggling Americans need. Another very special sporting event here in the nation's capital for the very special boy to celebrate him. And his policy priorities aren't really any better. Apart from his unpopular war in Iran and his unpopular trade war, Trump's administration has been primarily focused on things like, putting disclaimers outside the Smithsonian's American History Museum, to warn people that this history they're about to see might be too woke. On Capitol Hill, Trump has focused the bulk of his energies in recent weeks on a pointless fight with his own party's Senate Majority Leader over his demand that Congress pass a voter suppression bill that would do nothing but cause chaos ahead of the next election. And just today, Trump spent his morning ranting about his 6-year-old grievances with Dr. Anthony Fauci, while his party spent the day questioning Fauci as part of their never-ending crusade to blame him for the COVID-19 pandemic. There's lots to say about this, and I'm having more to say about that later in the hour. But speaking of Trump's old grudges, this week we also got new details about the extraordinary amount of energy Trump has put into his attempt to prosecute the former FBI Director James Comey over an Instagram post of some seashells on a beach that spelled out the numbers 8647. Every time I say it, it just seems as ridiculous as it is. In a series of court filings late yesterday, Comey's defense team cited government documents revealing that the Trump administration went to extraordinary lengths to try to prove that the photo of those seashells actually represented a threat of violence. Trump's DOJ was so desperate, they turned to a notorious former mob boss as a sort of character witness, I guess, to validate their theory of the case. They interviewed Salvatore Gravano, better known as Sammy the Bull. There, you can see him. There you go, right there on your screen, who, according to the filing, was involved in the murder of at least 19 people, to get him to vouch for their claim that 86 was mob slang for murder. Now, this filing also sheds new light on Trump's obsession with the Comey case, because in May of last year, as Trump was flying home on Air Force One after a trip to the Middle East, he was apparently demanding real-time updates of the Secret Service's interview with James Comey from earlier that same day. That's according to this new court filing. And just for context here, because I do really think this helps put this all into one big storyline here. The other things that he should have been focused on at that time include a lot of things. This flight on May 16th of last year coincided with some pretty bad economic news, for example. It was the day after Walmart warned it was going to have to raise prices as a result of Trump's disastrous tariffs. And it was the same day that Moody's downgraded the country's credit rating for the first time in more than 100 years. And yet, amidst all of that, Trump was focused on James Comey and some seashells. Is it really any wonder the American people think Trump is focused on the wrong issues? Now, Donald Trump is once again losing control of key Republicans in Congress. Clearly, he is once again losing control of his war of choice with Iran, and it's all happening at the same time that he is losing control of his base. I mean, do you remember 10 years ago when Trump started to win the first Republican primaries? There was one group of voters he decided to acknowledge in the most insulting way possible.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
He loves the poorly educated. The man has such a way with words. Now, what I think Trump was trying to brag about there was his performance with voters who did not have a college degree. And despite the pejorative way he chose to describe them, those voters would end up being key to his electoral victories going forward for quite some time, especially non-college educated white voters. I mean, Trump really overperformed with them. In 2016, he won 66% of non-college educated white voters. In 2020, he won 67% of them. And in 2024, he won 66% of them. Non-college educated white voters have always been a key part of Trump's voting constituency. That's probably why everybody's so obsessed about talking about this voting bloc all the time. Which is why the latest polling on Trump's approval rating should be freaking people out over at the White House. Because according to a new CNN poll just released today, Trump is underwater with white voters without a college degree. And for the first time ever, that deficit is outside the margin of error. That is a huge freaking deal. Democrats haven't won a majority of white voters without a college degree since Jimmy Carter in 1976. And now Trump is losing that key demographic by 8 points. It is part of the reason Trump's overall disapproval rating in that poll is at 66%, the worst disapproval rating he's ever received in that poll across both of his terms. And there's one particular question in this poll that I think goes a very long way toward explaining why Trump is so unpopular right now. Does Donald Trump have the right priorities for this country? And as you can see on your screen there, only 27% of Americans think Trump's priorities are right. Well, a full 73% of Americans think Trump does not have the right priorities, that he hasn't paid attention to the country's most important problems. He's a whopping 46 points underwater on this issue.
Welcome to Frozen Barbecue. Please remain calm and hungry. Customer patience level unstable. Hey, chef, we believe in you. Warning, meat pile pressure rising. Automation protocol activated. Critical alert. Hunger levels have exceeded common sense. I'm hungry! Please, hurry up! Grill overload detected. Warning, grill pressure rising. Finally, steak! Warning, grill capacity has reached limit.
Please? Chef, you're saving lives out here.
Conveyor belt activated. Cooking speed increased. Overload resolved. Customer survival rate high. Lunch rush completed. Preparing next disaster.
Donald Trump's approval rating has fallen to a new low in the latest Economist YouGov poll. The survey says 34% of Americans approve, while 62% disapprove of his performance. It also finds 63% say the country is headed in the wrong direction. Democrats lead Republicans by 4 points on a generic congressional ballot. The July poll was conducted among 1,559 adults and has a margin of error of 3.3 points. While results vary, major polling averages continue to show Trump in negative territory overall.
A new CNN poll finds 73% of Americans think President Trump is not paying enough attention to the country's most important issues. Only 27% say he has the right priorities. 2/3 of Americans surveyed say Trump's policies have made the economy worse and that his military decisions in Iran have hurt the country. Among the biggest issues cited, rising gas prices and higher costs for everyday goods.
Our brand new CNN poll numbers show Donald Trump breaking records
and not in a good way. 73% of Americans in this poll say that Donald Trump is focused on the wrong priorities. That's nearly 3 out of every 4 Americans. He is matching his all-time low for his overall job approval rating in our poll. He stands at 34%. That's where he was in the aftermath of the January 6th insurrection in his first term. And he is now at a record numerical low in approval among Republicans, his fellow partisans. 78% of Republicans in this poll approve of Donald Trump's job performance. He's never seen a number that low among his fellow Republicans. What's driving this low point for Donald Trump as he prepares to head into the midterm election season this fall? Well, it's the major issues driving the news: the economy, inflation, gas prices, and the war in Iran. On these issues, the war in Iran, his handling of gas prices, his handling of inflation, he doesn't even crack 30% approval. And that overall job approval number, that record low of 34%, that's actually 8 points below where Donald Trump himself was 8 years ago when he was heading into his midterms in his first term and his party lost control of Congress. This all bodes very dangerously for the Republican Party with less than 100 days to go before voters head to the polls.
A new poll from Quinnipiac University has less than ideal news for President Donald Trump. His approval rate sitting at just 32%, the lowest it has ever been in the Quinnipiac poll for not only this term, but his last term as well. 58% of voters say they do not approve of the job the president is doing. 10% say they have no opinion. The team over at Quinnipiac University did a survey of nearly 1,000 self-identified voters from all across the country. And again, that approval rating for the job the president is doing sitting at just 32%. That's largely driven by what's going on with the economy, the war in Iran, gas prices, and inflation. Those are obstacles Republicans are going to have to overcome if they want to be successful come November.
Kingshot, build and fight.
The Federal Reserve held interest rates steady today in a crucial decision. It's the 5th straight meeting that the central bank decided to keep the benchmark lending rate unchanged. It stays in the range of 3.5% to 3.75%. However, it was not a unanimous vote to hold the line. 3 FED presidents wanted a quarter-point hike. Recent data shows inflation eased in June. However, renewed hostilities in the Middle East have pushed global energy prices higher. A new CNN poll finds that 73% of Americans think President Trump is not paying enough attention to the country's most important problems. The findings come amid continued economic woes and discontent over the conflict in Iran. 2/3 of Americans surveyed said Trump's policies have made the economy worse and that his military decisions in Iran have hurt the country. Trump's overall approval rating stands at 34%, lowest since the January 6th Capitol insurrection at the end of his first term. And Medicare premiums are expected to rise next year. The Trump administration says it's ending a Biden-era program that had lowered the cost of drug coverage for millions of Americans 65 and older. For the past 2 years, the federal government gave health insurers billions of dollars in subsidies to help keep prescription costs down. Once those subsidies are gone, millions of Medicare users will have to pay hundreds of dollars more per year for their medication plans. About 25 million Americans use a standalone Medicare plan for their drug coverage. Another 31 million get their drug coverage through Medicare Advantage, a private sector alternative. million Americans use a standalone Medicare plan for their drug coverage. Another 31 million get their drug coverage through Medicare Advantage, a private sector alternative.
All right, Kenzie. It's 2:30 on my clock. And I got to work in the morning, so I'm going to get my ass up off here. Let me see what we got going on. Let me see how we did. Pretty solid, MAGA. Kenzie, I appreciate you. All the other mods that definitely held shit down for this live stream. Y'all know what it is, man. We bring the truth in here, and they run like roaches with the motherfucking light on every time. Having nothing Israel to add to the conversation. Nothing positive about Israel. So, subscribe to the channel, y'all. What we got right now? How many? We have 584 subscribers as of right now. Hit that like button, share, holla.